Good afternoon, good evening, and happy Mother's Day. We're back with HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing on this fantastic Sunday. And of course, before we get into the games, let's check in with both of our friends here, see what you guys got up to in the downtime in between yesterday's matches and today. And of course, Grubby, I want to start with you. You are looking crisp today, I could say.
Too crisp, too much detail. Let me know if it's too much. I can try to kind of dirty my webcam. But yeah, I did change webcam earlier today and lighting. So yeah, if it looks a little different, that may be why. You're looking fine as always with your magnificent beard, Bahamut.
Thank you very much. You're handsome. We can see the handsomeness in high def. But of course, we also have another handsome chap in high def. We got Justing, of course, with us as well. How have you been? Are you ready for today's matches as well?
Yep, thanks, Baha. I've been good. I've been petting Springy and playing ARAMs, and I'm excited to see especially 30k play today.
Now, I am curious, how have your ARAMs been? Any fun pickups? Did you get like 3 Butchers, or did you get like, I think my friend sent me, he had a game where he played 3 Li Mings on his team, and he was like, yeah, the enemy Malfurion had no chance.
I did play against 3 Hoggers yesterday, so that was interesting. We did win. I was Hogger myself, so there was 4 Hoggers in the game, but I was kind of slapping the other Hoggers around. It was pretty fun.
The superior Hogger wins is what I'm learning right now. And, 1v3, obviously you win that one. But we've got a lot of things to break down for all of you at home. So let's start getting into a few of those things. We have got, of course, our prize pool to kind of get you all caught up on. As always, 60% will go to those players. You can see the breakdown. First place taking 35%. 40% will be coming back to Wisdom to be able to create amazing graphics. And as you are seeing right now, yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. HeroesCCL Season 4 is in dark mode. We're not going to be swapping it up. We're not going to be changing it from weekend to weekend or day to day. No, we are in the dark mode, and it's going to be nice and cozy. If you'd like to check out the prize pool or donate, you can go to the match arena with ! prize pool in chat. And because of your generosity, I keep seeing this number go up and up and up. We're at $4,155, and Grubby, we've literally had 2 matches out of the entire play, like round robin playtime so far. Like, we still have technically 7 weeks of group play. This is amazing to me.
Yeah, massive support from you guys, the community, just yesterday already. Thank you so much. Do love your ongoing support for CCL. It makes it so worth it for us to run this league and for the players to be rewarded extra in that prize pool as well. CCL, the premier esports tournament for Heroes of the Storm. We're on the launcher as well. Let's have an amazing season. We had a great first day yesterday already with some ex-HGC pros playing in Granite Gaming, getting a W, getting that first map win, but ultimately falling. All of those VODs can be found on the YouTube of Wisdom Gaming. It's called youtube.com/HeroesHearth. You can type !CCL VODs to find out more about that as well. All the VODs will be there, yesterday's games, but today we make ready for the 4 teams that haven't played yet to play their best of 5s.
Yeah, we did have, as you were mentioning earlier, Grubby, we had 2 best of 5s yesterday. You can see Oxygen, Diamond are at the top, Granite and Chili at the bottom. And it's the appetizer weekend, Justing, as I like to call it. But of course, Grubby had mentioned there are 4 teams that haven't played, Justin. Could you break down who are we going to see in the 2 best of 5s today here on Sunday, May 8th?
Yep, today we've got Storm Esports going up against 30k in our first match of the day. And in the second match, we've got Simplicity going up against Wildheart. And 30k versus Storm is going to be the match that I'm most excited for. I'm really excited to see 30k play. We saw Oxygen and Chili Mountain, which are, according to the power rankings from the players, sort of the premier European teams. And to see 30k now, which is kind of what everyone is sort of expecting to be the NA super team, going up against Storm, which is a very different roster from last season, going to be really interesting. And Wildheart against Simplicity, going to be interesting as well. I think both of these teams, a lot of players ranked sort of in the middle of the pack. And this match will be extremely important for both of them. And Simplicity in particular is really a wild card. So it'll be really cool to see how that works with a very Korean-heavy roster.
And speaking of that, I have been practicing my Korean, so I'll be able to...
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
All right, I tried. All right, Fool me once, I guess.
I knew you were going to try and pull that as well.
I gotta at least, but it is really, really exciting, and as Justin was saying, we have some interesting roster changes from all 4 of these teams, which we can dive into in a little bit. Before we dive into these rosters, I want to talk about our sponsor and partner. Our sponsor here at Next Level Gaming has joined us once again for HeroesCCL Season 4. They're a Miami-based esports center where you can play Heroes of the Storm and over 400 other pre-installed games that are updated daily. Next Level Gaming is also a Blizzard Cafe, which gives you extra benefits for playing over at Next Level Gaming that you can't really get at home, like all the heroes being unlocked and getting extra experience on your account. Next Level has HP Omens with Intel i7 processors and RTX 3090 graphics cards, and with such an amazing PC, you gotta have the best monitors to produce some great imagery as well. They've got 2 options for you when it comes to these monitors: a 24-inch monitor at 240 Hz or a 32-inch monitor, at 144 Hz. Be sure to use !NXT in chat to find out more about this amazing esports center in Miami, Florida. And of course, I already mentioned, we had our sponsor, but of course our partner. Heroes Fantasy is back. We've partnered with Ball Street to bring you CCLMarkets.com. It's a free pick'em game that lets you choose HeroesCCL winners in real time as you watch the action. Simply buy shares of the team you think is going to win the matchup and sell shares of the team you think is going to lose. The best part, you can change your mind at any time because the CCL market is always open. Buy and sell all match long to get a better score. Every night, the top traders on the CCL Markets will win prizes, and you can compete all season long. Join CCLMarkets.com and win prizes as you watch today's broadcast. Now, I do want to ask you here, Justin. I did see you tweeting a little bit about it last night. What's your experience so far with the CCL Markets? I saw you doing a little bit of a little gamba yesterday.
Yeah, it's a little bit addicting. I'm not sure if I will be partaking today, as I need to be analyzing the games to their fullest, but I know that if I was just watching, I would be all over it. It's right. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's like it's stonks for CCL. It's CCL stonks.
Well, thank you again to Ball Street for partnering with HeroesCCL for Season 4. But of course, we've talked about pricing, we've talked about the league standings, we've talked about what you're going to see today. What you haven't seen, ladies and gentlemen, among map picks and bans, is the roster. So let's start breaking down these rosters for everyone at home. And of course, Grubby, who are we going to see on the side of Storm Esports?
Storm Esports kept in their roster Lauber and CPX, who were in Storm Esports last season as well. They've picked up June, who plays both healer and Vikings. Kind of a weird combo, but it works. He does Abathur as well, but here he will be the dedicated healer. Nazmas, a great ranged assassin. And we've got Swamp Grotta, Swedish offlane player, will be on Bruiser / melee assassin. And Mokka is going to be a substitute player.
A really strong roster in Storm. A very interesting roster and how it kind of came together, as we heard during the roster reveal on Friday when we had that interview with CPX. So very, very cool roster here, and I'm excited to see how they perform today. Of course, Justin, when we look at the opposing side of the battleground, we've got 30K, a Titan, as the North American roster that everyone looks at this and everyone goes, this should be a top 3 team. Not a top 4, a top 3 that's guaranteed their way to the LAN.
Yeah, this is the expected NA super team. We've got Caterpillar playing the tank, Cure is the flex, Legacy the support, Liam the offlane, Madara the main ranged, and B-Kid the substitute here. Having B-Kid, a former HGC player, on the bench just kind of shows how powerful this roster is. We have a lot of seasoned veterans. We have players like Cure and Legacy who won 2 CCL finals, season 1 and 2. We have players like Liam who were winning all the awards last season as the offlane. Like, Caterpillar's been around forever. Madara had a great showing on Oxygen, so just a really superstar, just star-studded roster of NA talent on 30K.
And I wonder if we could potentially see some tank swapping in between games. Obviously, when you get into a lobby, that's going to be your roster. You can't, draft and then drop the lobby and then swap out a player or something like that. We've never been doing that in CCL. But what could be done is, like, let's say we go through the first map and Cattle's like, I think we need to play this type of tank, and I'm a little weaker on said type, and that's where they bring in B-Kids. So I like the flexibility that the members of 30K have with that kind of tanking, because we've all talked about the roles in Heroes of the Storm, and tanking is probably one of the most difficult because you have to be so aware of so many different concepts. And Grubby, I'm sure, as someone who kind of flexes on so many different heroes throughout Heroes of the Storm, you can kind of relate to know all these different roles and positioning, right?
Definitely. Just to give a simple example, Bahamut, let's say if you're Muradin in a game of Storm League or competitive, and you're the only tank, and you've got an Illidan diving your backline Malfurion, but the enemy also has a Lieutenant Morales who's constantly healing their Vala. Do you jump in on Morales and interrupt her healing beam, as you're the only one that can go that deep safely? Or do you go back and provide your stuns, movement speed slows, and attack speed slows onto the Illidan to save your healer? These kind of decision makings are just part of the mid-battle prioritization decisions one needs to make as a tank. But there's also, how do you play out of vision? How do you approach from a space where you are not expected so that people cannot dismount you or interrupt you when you try to engage? And finally, having a complete overview of the battlefield to understand that being in a certain place, being safe yourself is just one part of the equation. You also therefore put your entire allied team behind yourself. And is that a good position to be in? What kind of tools does the opponent have in order to try and destroy your team? Should you fight in tight spaces or open, wide tundras? So all of these questions, all of these positionings are all weighing in on the mind of a tank. And there's a lot of responsibility on their shoulders thus.
I agree. It's such an interesting role, and I'm sure we can dive into that throughout the many weeks of HeroesCCL. But let's start diving into what maps we're going to be going into, or at least what map we're going to be going into, as well as what bans we did have. The members of Storm Esports won the coin flip, opting for first pick priority in game number 1 here, banning out Alterac Pass. Members of 30K, unfortunately, will be banning out Garden of Terror, so no repeat from yesterday, no availability to see Garden of Terror coming through, at least in this best of 5, but 30K, as they have the map choice, have chosen to take us to Infernal Shrines. Justin, this is a tried and true, this is such a good map to start on. Battlefield and Infernal Shrines, I think, are such good maps to take an enemy team to, because you can test them on so many different levels. Grubby was mentioning how many, the areas a tank engages and all those other things, but there's camp timers, there's objective rotations, there's lane rotations, there's invades. There's so much to consider here and kind of test the might of your enemy, and I'm just curious, Justin, what kind of things, when you play, do you test the enemy going into a map like Infernal Shrines?
Infernal Shrines is my favorite map, and it pretty much always has been. I really like the idea of just standing and just opting in to take that 5v5 on the shrine. You have a big arena where you're just fighting in a 5v5, and that's really exciting, fighting over the skeletal defenders. I think it's it's a good map to go to if you think that you're better than your opponent in a straight up 5v5. And so to see 30K pick that is a good sign for 30K going into the series. Seeing them be willing to play that map in the first game, saying, we're ready to team fight you 5v5, we're the better team. I like that. I like seeing that confidence, because 30K is, as we're expecting them to be, if 30K doesn't 3-0, I would say for them it should be a disappointment, considering how high the expectations for them are coming into the season with their roster. They have just a ridiculous roster, and I like seeing them come here for their first map, being confident, wanting to take those 5v5s. It's not really a map where you're allowed to split push very much. Not anymore. You mostly just need to 5v5, and you want to try to get as many advantages as you can for one of the final shrine fights into the late game. And there's a lot of in your face, we are the better team kind of mentality on this map. So picking it shows a lot of confidence, and I like it a lot.
So just really quickly, to keep everyone up to date, we will continue talking about Infernal Shrines, but I'm sure some of you are like, guys, you've talked about picks you've talked about maps, you've talked about sponsors, you've talked about rosters, all that kind of stuff. Right now, we are getting one of the players, it looks like they're going to restart their PC to make sure that everything is nice and smooth on their end. So there was a little bit of a connectivity issue, so they're just going to restart and they're going to get back into game. So sorry for the slight delay, but we want to make sure that these players are playing on the most optimal settings, I guess you could say, for these matches. So until we kind of get all that settled, we're just going to go ahead and continue talking about the potential matchup, the map here, as well as maybe some expectations. So when we look at a map like Infernal Shrines, Grubby, I don't know if you're super big on specific drafts, but my big thing here, the double soak between mid and bottom, and then the strong solo laner who can not only hold their own, like a Sonya, Leoric, Yrel, or a D.Va, but someone who can also clear the shrine really effectively, like all those other heroes. Like, I think Sonya, this is one of her best maps, because you got Leap to engage the backline, Wrath of Berserker if you just want to sit there on the shrine and siege. So, I'm just curious, Grubby, any thoughts on Infernal Shrine draft priority, even heroes?
Yeah, what used to be really meta on this map was taking either Sonya or Kerrigan and using their ability to quickly clear skeletons on the shrine while also gaining shields and health from those skeletons so that you're safer against enemy poke damage or even all-in damage. Those heroes used to be really popular, and they still are. I think if we had Nick in a game here on Infernal Shrines, very good chance that he would pick Kerrigan on such a map. Nowadays, I think those are still extremely good. And another big one came into the field, Hogger, of course.
Yeah.
If Hogger does well, he can have a near perfect infinite spin on the middle and bottom rectangle. I believe it's not 100% perfect possible, but you can easily go like 30, 40 revolutions of constantly spinning in, getting damage, debuffing enemies, getting armor. It kind of depends on your talent build, but Hogger is an absolute top pick on this map. You already had an interesting statistic pre-show, Bahamut, saying that Junkrat has a 100% ban rate so far.
He has a 100% ban rate, but it's not only that. It's a 100% ban rate from Team 2, which I find very interesting.
Right.
Because we've gone through a lot of draft theory adjusting in the offseason, and the one thing we talk about is this concept of banning out or forcing the enemy team to ban something they don't want you to get sort of deal. So like I was funny, I was just doing the stats last night and I was like Junkrat. I'm like, holy crap. Everyone in Team 2, or the second pick, or last pick technically, they're the ones who had to always ban Junkrat. Never Team 1 banning Junkrat, which is very interesting.
So anytime there's two extremely broken heroes and everyone else is right below it, then you'll either have Team 1 ban one and Team 2 ban one, or neither bans one. So you either get none of them or both team have one. But when there's one hero that stands head and shoulders above the rest, you'll get a situation like what Bahamut found pattern, where the second team is forced to ban it because the first team is like, we get Junkrat, we don't care your second and third pick.
Exactly. Like, and Justin, I can't blame them whatsoever for doing that. He's just such a nuisance on any and every single map as that goalie.
Yeah, especially with things like the Rhaegar and the Stukov and the Johanna being nerfed recently, it kind of takes a little bit of their priority away and puts it back in the hands of Junkrat. Junkrat has been strong for a long time. It's just that he seemed to kind of evade the recent nerfs that those other heroes received. So I think that's why he's moved up to that kind of unanimously decided upon most OP hero for second pick to be sort of forced to ban from second pick. That is like what Grubby mentioned. That's just what happens when you have something that's everyone agrees is just the strongest thing. You do not want to play it against it as second pick, and you're pretty much fine with anything else.
Please keep.
Yeah, we saw things like Johanna even go to the second rotation of picks yesterday, which is really strange to me. We also saw a lot more Maiev this season so far than last season, like significantly more. Probably about as much yesterday as in nearly the whole season of Season 3, so that's pretty weird too. It's interesting to see the way that the team's draft strategies have changed from before, but I think that within a couple weeks, every team will be a little bit more on the same page in their priorities.
Well, we do have some good news for all of you. The readies are coming through. Thank you all so much for being patient. There's a slight just kind of Discord issue, but we've got everything leveled out. Everyone can hear each other, and we're going to get into the draft right now for Infernal Shrines. Now, Justin, I actually have a follow-up question, which is going to play into this as well. We talked about heroes that are so strong, and you have maybe religiously said that Stukov is the best hero in the game. Why is it that Stukov isn't, like, Junkrat priority? I feel like Stukov had so many great moments yesterday from anyone who really drafted him, Heavy being a great example of someone who really cleaned up house with that hero. Is he just not as terrifying as the Junkrat?
So Junkrat specifically is kind of a problem, and I think comparing anyone else to him might be sort of impossible. The main issue with Junkrat is that he pretty much does well into everything. There isn't really anything that he's countered by. To some extent, he doesn't like being dove on by things like Genji, but there's enough things in the game right now that can save him that you're not really too worried about something like a Genji. and it would be more advantageous to just have a Junkrat that needs to be dove than to have that burden of execution of playing that Genji. So, but the main reason that I think that we don't see things like Stukov being prioritized super heavily is just, I think it's really early in the season and the amount of flexibility of the teams isn't quite there yet.
Okay.
The main reason that I put Stukov so highly is because he can basically flex to any position. You could pick him as your first pick, and you could essentially flex him to the offlane, the support role, the tank role if you're playing double support. It's sort of just a matter of the teams maybe not being comfortable playing anything too weird with it yet. I think once we start to see a little bit more experimentation, we will see things like the Rhaegar who facilitate double support, or like the Stukov that facilitate double support, being picked early as an option to go into it later, because we didn't see any double support yesterday.
And as we look at Infernal Shrines, Grubby, this is a great map for double support. You could go Rhaegar, Uther, Kerrigan, which used to be something big. But of course, we've had some bans, we've had some picks, and I want to get your thoughts as well.
Blaze coming out here with Sylvanas. Sylvanas is always good because she can push really hard with the objective, or she can do a counter push during the objective. Say, for instance, you've lost one member and you're down 4 against 5 heroes. The opponent has 17 out of 40 skeletons on the objective, needing 40 to get the objective. At exactly that moment, you can send Sylvanas and 2 allies to the opposite lane and start attacking a fort. Now there's a dilemma for the opponent. Do they spend the extra 15-20 seconds to get the objective, which will only start doing siege damage in 40 seconds? Or do they deal with the Sylvanas pressure now that is taking all those 40 seconds to kill an entire fort or keep? I love the strategic flexibility Sylvanas offers, and I am actually thinking that we're going to see more Sylvanas bans. Somehow it seems like she keeps getting picked very often but never banned, and that generally can't continue for long. Surprising also that Hogger has not been picked, choosing to not focus on his infinity spin mechanics, but instead taking side laners that scale really well into the late game, like Blaze and Leoric.
I believe out of the 7 games yesterday, Sylvanas was picked in 4 and banned in 1, so nearly, out of I think the 7 games we had yesterday, she wasn't considered in 2 games, which is kind of big, as well as just looking at some stats from yesterday that I did put together. But of course, some bans have come through, some other picks on the side of Storm Esports here, Justin. I'm sure you got some thoughts on the Diablo Leoric for this team Storm.
Yeah, so some things to note is Junkrat was banned by Storm as first pick, so that's the first time that that's changed. That sort of signifies that either they don't prioritize it as heavily as the Rhaegar, or maybe they're just not comfortable playing the Junkrat, which is more likely considering everyone else's priority on it. The ban on Garrosh is a little bit strange, picking the Diablo, leaving the Tychus available, which 30k is happy to take. I would have maybe expected something like a Diablo Tychus, because Hogger and Leoric would both be still available, so I would say a little bit of a draft blunder coming out from Storm, picking up the Leoric that early. They would have had the option to take either Leoric or Hogger, which would both be fine in this situation against the Blaze, but now they're giving away the Tychus into the Diablo, so we'll see if they're actually punished for that or not.
This is a really, really good draft, and of course, Grubby, I'm sure you've got some thoughts as well, getting this last pick from 30k.
Yeah, Chromie won't need to be doing the only damage today, just like the Chromie draft on Tomb of the Spider Queen yesterday. We've got a very powerful Greymane coming in, who can do similar things as Sylvanas, doing a lot of fort pressure, though not shutting down a fort. Tank is still available. Stitches would be a possibility, but unlikely. Oh wow, it is actually going to be Stitches. Oh, I must say I'm a little surprised by that. Stitches can get stopped in his Gorge Abduction style by Entomb. There is Cursed Bullet potentially, if that's what we're going to be seeing. And Diablo can get Blink at level 20 to try and catch up to Stitches as well. Generally, Diablo should be having the edge over Stitches in the early game, but in the late game, a Gorge pickoff can just be devastating. What do you think about the Stitches pick, Justin?
I hate it. I don't like the Stitches pick at all. I was really expecting something like a Muradin or an Anubarak to be able to kind of get into the backline if it needed to, be able to sort of keep control on the Diablo. I don't really see the impact that Stitches is going to have outside of maybe having the Gorge combo with Anduin. There isn't a great Light Bomb follow-up for Anduin right now either, so potentially we actually see the other ultimate come out to be able to save everyone from a potential Fire Breath with Entomb. I do like that quite a bit, actually, if they do make that adaptation for Legacy on the Anduin. My main concern is for 30k's comp is that Sylvanas and Tychus are both relatively short range, and going into things like Chromie and Greymane, if they go with the Flask, which got buffed recently, the Q build on Greymane, there's just going to be a lot of stuff on the floor to deal with for Storm on the Shrine, So I think in a straight 5v5, Storm's comp overall actually just looks a lot better on the Shrine, especially with Stitches not really being able to control that Diablo too much. I expect if Lauber is able to play well and have restraint and play safe, I really think Storm's comp is just better in a 5v5 on the Shrine.
Alrighty, Justin. Well, thank you so much for your analysis, your breakdown, as always, and we'll see you after map 1, Infernal Shrines, because we're loaded on in and we're ready to go here. First map of the first best of 5 of the day, we got Storm Esports in the blue, Chromie, played by CPX, June on the Rhaegar, Maka on the Greymane, Swamp Grotto on the Leoric, and Lauber on Diablo. Over on the side of 30k, we've got Legacy on the Anduin, Mater on the Sylvanas, Kier on the Tychus, Cattle on the Stitches, and Liam on the Blaze. I'm actually leaning into the 30k draft here, Grubby. I agree with what Justin's saying, of course. It's just, I feel like if a good hook lands, I think single target deletion is going to be huge for 30k. Mind Control will be able to lock someone down. Tychus just shredding through. Draken Laser Drill could be an option as well. We'll have to see what unfolds. What do you think of everything here as we are getting into a little mid-lane scuffle?
Yeah, I never underestimate Stitches. He tends to... Generally, if Stitches wins the early game, it's a lot... Like, it's over. If Stitches is not supposed to win anywhere from level 1 to 9, in my opinion. And if he does, that's really bad for the enemy team.
Oh, that's a good chastise into the hook, a cleanse, a purge from June. Lauber so low, and right there is first blood.
GG.
All right, back to the caster desk. We'll just let the team play this out, and we'll just kind of hang out and maybe talk about, hobbies and stuff like that. But that was, seriously, but that was such a good hook. And the chastise afterwards, because it's a lot like when you saw Malfurion and Stitches back in the day. You have to really, or even Tyrande, you have to really trust your Stitches to land those hooks, because Chastise does have a little bit of a wind-up, and that Chastise was already being fired before Lauber got hooked. Really good communication coming out from 30k early on.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever have comms like, it's going to miss, oops, or this one's hitting, or if it's just pretty much decided together. Oh, nice block there with the Wraith Walk by Swamp Grotto to stop the hook from hitting. But yeah, you just gotta trust your Stitches, and Stitches has earned that respect as well. They wouldn't be letting Cattle play Stitches if they didn't believe in him, so they are gonna be following up with those cooldowns. But typically Stitches, like anywhere from level 13 plus, he tends to win out more and more against Diablo because his effective engage range is just a lot better than Diablo.
That's swap a cleanse once again onto Lauber. I was actually peeking up into the top lane because during that camp invade on the right-hand side, Leoric did come down, and Liam was actually getting some free siege into top, so he's gotten a little bit of damage onto that fort tower. Thank you so much for showing that. So decent siege actually into the top lane. It's not where our first objective will be. The first one will be Arcane in the bottom lane. The reason we know this is because it shows on the minimap, and we can use our cursor to hover over, and it does show Arcane. It's a little tidbit you can take into your own games because you can utilize that in Storm League. Same thing with hovering your cursor over camps. You can actually see the effective timer or cooldown if there is one. Now, objective is up and ready to go here, Grubby, and I'm curious, I like how the positioning of 30k is looking, but do you think Storm can maybe kind of advance and take this over?
Well, Storm, the levels are very similar, and we can still have side lanes continuing. Swamp Grotto could be that side lane, but instead Diablo and Greymane are jumping mid now on Blaze. Blaze is dropping to 30% in the mid lane. 50% looks like he did get away, and I'm checking what did Anduin use to save him. Not Leap of Faith.
Nope. Just
it's still available for Legacy.
A little Flash Shield, a little Divine Star, a hook goes out, connects onto a Skeletal Defender, or a Monkey as you might hear some players call it. Cattle going in with a big slam, but getting chunked down a little bit. Swamp Grotto getting very low on this Leoric as the top lane camps are still pressing against each other. Tychus with a little grenade to poke as the Time Walker's Pursuit is showing some vision of the backline, trying to get some angling for Chromie. Speaking of angling, that's going to be a hook onto June, but the Jet Propulsion from the Blaze does not connect. A Leap of Faith utilized from Legacy to keep Cattle in a good spot. But we are 28 to 28, 30 to 30. It is close here, Grubby.
Very hotly contested Shrine fight here. 32 against 37, 33, 38, 37, 38, 38, 38. It's 38 apiece. Who's going to get the final two skeletons? Oh, it's 30k with one skeleton difference with the final insult to injury, salt to the wounds, hook to the Lord of Terror. Cattle once again taking down Lauber there. 2 kills for 30k, 2 Laubers down. They get the Arcane Punisher. so close. The Punisher goes the other way. I don't think that hook and that kill goes to be made because people would be walking away so they don't get stunned by the Arcane Punisher. Now suddenly the floodgates are open.
This is a bottom lane fort to fall, which is not common for a first Punisher. First Punisher, the expectation is a fort front gate, some damage onto a fort, maybe 10 to 20% off the fort. To get a fort front gate, to get the fort, and still have a Punisher around 50 or so percent. I mean, it's dropping now because it's tanking tower shots from the keep front gate, but this is a 5-minute Punisher or so that's already dealing damage to a keep front gate. This is huge macro, huge siege to the side of 30k, because while this is happening, look at them on the bottom lane. They're going to grab a camp, they're going to apply more pressure to this lane. They're going to be able to make rotations, and they will hit 10 talent tier first with these couple kills on Diablo, as well as the experience they've had from faster rotations and camp grabs, as well as structures. This is momentum for 30k, and Grubby, you said it at the start of the game. You cannot let the Stitches get ahead, and it feels like that is exactly what's happening.
It's what happened pre-level 10. Up a fort, up 2 kills, nearly up a level, and that's even before Gorge becomes available. That's before Longer Hook becomes available. This is pretty crazy. Stitches is fully speccing into the hook build with Serrated Edge at level 7, which deals a lot of damage into Diablo and reduces Hook's cooldown. I would be expecting to see the level 20 Master Hook coming out as well, which further reduces the Hook cooldown and completely shuts down any healing that target receives for several seconds. This is a great counter into Rhaegar's Ancestral Healing. If after a long hook, somehow you're able to catch up to the victim and give him an Ancestral Healing, that's going to get completely nullified. Now, the new Rhaegar does have a change to his Ancestral Healing, where before Ancestral just became Splash, now there are 2 Ancestrals that hit staggered. So this is a nice counterplay for Rhaegar, and honestly good design by Blizzard recently in the last couple of months when they made that change, where Rhaegar can now kind of counterplay that full healing debuff shutdown.
I love the Farseer Blessing change. I feel like it's pretty much all I see Rhaegar's take at 20. I'm not seeing any sort of Storm Shield or Gladiator... Pit Fighter, excuse me, is the other one. I've tried Pit Fighter. It's a little fun, but it's hard to beat the value of Farseer's Blessing just in general. But either way, it's all good stuff all around. We still see just 2 kills over the side of 30k. Experience is very close between both sides. No mind control from the Sylvanas. No Holy Word Salvation. It's going to be that Hook, Gorge, Light Bomb, Wailing Arrow from Sylvanas to maybe stop June from getting the Ancestor Healing to even trigger. And if I'm not mistaken on my math, if Master Hooker is taken at level 20 with this talent at level 7, I think Stitches has an 8-second cooldown on Hook, which is basically half of what he has baseline.
Let me check. -4, baseline 16 should be 8, yeah?
Yeah, caster math today. Woohoo! I ate my Wheaties.
Correct.
I ate my Wheaties.
Wheaties?
That's what they used to say, is like when you said something smart in school, they were like,
Dandelions?
No. Just guys,
this just in, Bahamut eats dandelions and goosegrass.
Why do you think I wake up so early? I gotta get out there before everyone else eats them.
Get there before the rabbits get there.
Exactly. Realistically, it's the Bears. It's the Bears here. Yeah, there's. I actually ran out to get bagels before the stream, and literally as I was getting home, there's a bear in my front yard. But let's talk about the shadow charge from Lauber that's initiating onto Liam, who's getting chunked right now. Leap of Faith not going to be utilized. Here comes an Apocalypse. That is a bunker down from Blaze and Entomb from Leoric, and a Commandeer Odin from Cure, as the bunker will expire soon, but it is going to get a lot of just a clear around the shrine, and that does zone back the side of Storm Esports for a few seconds.
Yeah, nice tool there to stop the Apocalypse. It did hit 2 targets post-transformation. Transformer Odin, Cures, Kato got hit, couldn't get into the bunker on time, but no real deletion power right there. There's a nice time stop on Stitches. He gets absolutely blasted into orbit, and what goes up must come down. Love those ragdolls. Stitches gets deleted. Finally, Lauber wins the one-on-one with 4 allies at his back into Caterpillar. Revenge, sweet revenge for what happened before. Right before level 13 is reached as well. Gorge still off cooldown. It is available. Now the Punisher will be going forward here and getting some Frozen Punisher action, which is basically what Sylvanas normally likes to do. It's to shut down defensive buildings. Very, very welcome Punisher style here for Storm. They're looking to get at least a fort out of it as well.
So this will be the mid lane siege continuing in, as the Frozen Punisher will be around 30-some%. Leoric is going to Wraith Walk out. I think Cattle was maybe looking for a hook or something, because he does have that 40% range increase since they hit level 13. And I am curious to get Justing's thoughts on Lauber's build here for the Diablo, because I know Diablo builds, there's a couple of Diablo builds, as Justing noted yesterday in the broadcast, but always curious to get his thoughts on the Diablo play and builds, so definitely that is something I'll be looking forward to when this game is over, as Leoric continues to siege top, or clear top, mid lane to be cleared out as well from Kier and friends. And bottom lane has one camp available, but it seems like maybe a gank for Leoric is the call.
Going for Leoric. Leoric, of course, has a Haunting Wave. Wraith Walk.
Ooh.
He's not choosing to use it, funnily enough. And the turnaround there on Diablo instead, who came to save Leo. And Swamp is like, lol, I was fine. What are you doing? Now he is not fine anymore. Because he was really just baiting out his Wraith Walk, not choosing to use it yet. Diablo comes in from the flank, didn't have his team there yet. Lauber falls ingloriously so.
I love the really quick call from Madara. Activate the black arrows, throw the Haunting Wave, lock down the top lane for it, and get this burn down, while Leoric and Diablo, well, Diablo respawned immediately. He did consume 75 souls, and if you're wondering why, that was another change that happened in the offseason. Once Diablo hits level 10, he only consumes 75 out of the 100 souls. You still have to hit 100. You can't hit 85, and then you only consume 75 of said 85. You gotta get to 100. And chat, I have not forgotten. We will get into player comms. Just waiting for the next objective phase. We will get into some player comms in the next objective. Just waiting for things to really kind of pop off here. And it seems like 30k want to force the bottom wave. They will have 16s slightly ahead of the enemy side, but it feels a little risky. I guess it's just Kier throwing out a grenade for a tower?
I like showing somewhere, doing something, and immediately backing off. You exactly measure the response time of an opponent to see you start traveling towards you. And guess what? Didn't really lose anything. You got that tower, you got, well, 1 minion of a 6 minion wave worth of XP, but you're still pushing the buttons of the opponent and keeping them back, keeping them defensive. 1 fort in the lead right now is 30k. But anything could happen, Bahamut. With level 16 apiece,
oh, yeah.
Both are armed and dangerous, looking to take this game away.
Mortar Punisher, it's considered the weakest, but it still is a Punisher. It still offers great siege. And if the members of Storm Esports can win this over, they could really open up bottom lane. Greymane is a fantastic hero to siege. Chromie does supply some fantastic artillery, as this is another objective phase up and available. We'll see this in the next 10 seconds. And I'm sorry, Chad, I did bait you. We have just some background things that have changed, so unfortunately we can't jump into comms.
We don't want to do comms because we want to hog it.
That is true. Okay,
You're gonna have to...
Grubby, you weren't supposed to tell everybody!
Maybe later when we feel a little bit less megalomaniac.
Have you seen a Gorge yet? I know we're having a fight right now, but I feel like I have not seen Cattle Gorge one singular hero just yet.
I think
there it is. There it is. Okay, finally we get it. I was like, when is a Gorge gonna happen?
Speak of the glutton.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so Svampgrada goes down. 15 skeletal defenders to the side of Storm Esports as Liam steps onto the point. Lauber and friends back away. 30 seconds on Leoric. He can cheat death. A fantastic stasis from CPX as Madara throws the Haunting Wave. Doesn't activate it. Quickly looking, she does have the Will of Forsaken to Sylvanas, and that is I think it's a 45-second cooldown, 60-second, where you gain 40% movement speed for 3 seconds. But here comes the Apocalypse, the Bunker, the Leap of Faith, Cursed Bullet onto someone, Wailing Arrow goes out, Maka gets the Ancestral Healing, the Slowing Sands will be slowing down Blaze, but he's got a Light Bomb to push back the enemies, as Sylvanas was able to get the kill onto Lauber. He only had 28 souls, he ain't coming back for the next 40 seconds, as the Mortar Punisher goes to the side of 30k. Storm Esports rush to find value somewhere else, a consolation prize as we've called it in previous seasons.
Trying to get somewhere else. We've got Greymane going to the top lane. And, don't underestimate that. Maka is going to get that entire fort there on Greymane. You're pretty much making a guess here, a gamble. We're going to lose the keep. And then we're going to try and hold at the core. Oh, that hook is going to kill Leoric. Kato making sure to get his calciums in. Jet propulsion there on Mokka does miss. This is a 90% immortal Punisher, I should say, with Leoric being dead now. That was a good hook. This might be game, Bahamut.
It just might be. Another hook onto Lobber. He's getting chunked, and he is low. But speaking of getting chunked, Sylvanas is low as well. She throws the Haunting Wave, and Madara gets the snipe. Cure very low, but it doesn't matter. The giant Commandero actually fits inside that tiny little itty-bitty bunker. Everyone gets in the bunker, well, except for Madara. And the game, number 1, will go over to the side of 30K. GG over to that team. Apologies once again, one of our production crew lost power, so that was the reason we couldn't be jumping into comms. Just to be clear with all of you at home, fingers crossed we can get their power back on, and we can get that going for all of you. But a really, really great game number 1. I think 30K showcased exactly what we were expecting of them, in my opinion. Lobber... Justin, I don't want to flame too hard here, but Lobber kind of did what I expected Lobber to do on Diablo without BBJ.
Lauber did kind of do what I said he needed to not do in this game. I was really expecting it to be the W build to play safe into the Tychus Sylvanas. That was kind of my expectation for how Storm would win, is you maybe go the Flask build on Greymane with Q build, which there was also the auto attack focus build for Mako, which I thought was a little strange in this composition. I was expecting them to play to have the W build on Diablo and just be able to outrange the Tychus and Sylvanas, because otherwise giving away that Tychus felt a little strange to me in the draft. That makes it, to me, feel a little bit even more like a draft blunder from Storm. I was happy to see Storm kind of exceed my expectations in the early game, though. Although they did get picked, they did manage to make it back in time to invade the camp that 30K was taking, which was a good sign that they were being proactive. Even though they were falling behind at the start, they kind of evened things out a bit. And then the first shrine was almost a coin flip. It was 39 to 40 skeletal defenders. That could have went either way. And unfortunately for Storm, committing that many resources to it and getting to 39 really sets you behind. Not being able to get that objective, 30K gets the entire bot fort, and then fortunately for 30K, the next shrine, or 2 shrines later, is also bottom. So this moment here was the one kind of the next highlight for Storm was winning this shrine. This was sort of their best moment. And then immediately afterwards, 30K just being proactive on the map here and countering it off the shrine. Because on the shrine, Storm should have a pretty good 5 versus 5. They should have a better chance if they aren't over-eager. But with the way that their builds went, like Lauber here has to charge in if he wants to get value with his build. Maka, the same, is just a little bit too far forward here in this fight. They weren't playing as slow as they would need to for their comp to win, and Sylvanas and Tychus just completely shred them. Cattle doesn't even necessarily need to land hooks in this situation when Storm is kind of going this aggressive, sort of throwing themselves at 30K. So 30K capitalizing on the mistakes, a little bit fortunate that it's the same lane that the first objective they won was in, but because of that, they push their advantage to the fullest. They have Sylvanas to disable the keep, and just a really clean early game. Being able to end the game before level 19 even, very impressive by 30K, taking all their advantages and pushing them to the fullest.
I think 30K just, they executed so well here, Grubby. Like, it was almost like art with the way that they were playing with the stitches to me. Like, it just, the layered damage after a hook, the communication. I mean, we didn't get into comms, but I think we definitely could kind of visually see that communication of like a hook's going out and you already see Legacy setting up for a chastise and Cure's right there, you know, minigun active, ready to just shred through whoever is going to be hooked. And usually, you know, you don't want to hook the main tank, but with the Sylvanas and her massive damage, as well as the Tychus, Grubby, I think any target was a potential insta-kill. Not insta, but high potential kill if a hook did connect.
Yeah, evidently, right? And Diablo is one of the most survivable targets normally with his Soul Shield and Fire Stomp build. A full Fire Stomp build is going to reduce enemy damage, movement speed, and it's going to slow them while also healing you, resetting your 75 spell armor, and it allows you to play more backwards by standing back and just doing a lot of staggered Fire Stomps that do all those effects. And you've got Lightning Breath to punish back low health ranged assassins that try to take you down if you ever get focused. The build that Lauber elected to go for is one where you expect to charge in on a target and having that be the main engage of your team, the other one being Entomb, and then needing to delete that target via the combined Cursed Bullet and Chromie Crossfire. The problem with this is that the first target is always going to get Anduin Leapel Faith. So channeling everything into a let's make this happen in the first 3 seconds of the fight, as Justin was saying, is problematic. Anduin will stop the first engage. It's the second or third engage that should be effective against an Anduin team. And this requires patience and shyness in the start of a battle. Now, Stitches kind of breaks that a possibility for a team as well. Even if you go for the Firestorm build, you can still get hooked. Stuff is still going to go down when you get hooked and you get chastised by Anduin. So you may not have that choice. More than that, then, it shouldn't be only Diablo's responsibility to engage, be it with Firestorm, Lightning Breath, or Apocalypse, or the Shadow Charge build. You kind of need to have a whole draft that goes around diving after a Stitches team, making sure that Tychus, who can pretty much only focus one target, has multiple problems to deal with at the same time, rather than one sweet serving of Diablo pie on a silver platter. So it's a draft thing for Sturm here, who have put an umlaut on their O for some reason, but it's also a very well drafted composition by 30k, executed to a T.
Very good execution for map number 1, and we already know where we're going to head to for map number 2, so of course let's get you all caught up on that. If you did maybe miss some of the bans from earlier on as well, it can get you all caught up, because there was a ban on Garden, there was a ban on Alterac. We just saw 30k take Infernal Shrines, and it's going to be Storm Esports, the losing side. Now Storm can either choose first pick or map pick. They're going to be opting for map pick priority here, Justing, and they're going to be choosing to take us to Curse Hollow, a very large map. I wouldn't say like it's super unique, because it is like it's the map that everyone has to play like 20 times when they first start playing Heroes of the Storm. But there's a lot of things to consider. It's a double boss map, it's a large map, so globals. There's a lot of camps to grab as well. There's a lot of big team fights around objective phases. Gotta get your thoughts on what we could potentially see from Cursed Hollow from these teams.
Yeah, it being picked by Storm is definitely interesting. They do have players like June, who, while he is likely to be the support, has been known to play some things like Vikings and Storm League quite a bit. And even Swamp Karada, I think, has some weird heroes from the offlane position that he can play. So it definitely strikes a little bit of fear in the opponent of 30k if you are going up against Storm, and they're just strangely picking Cursed Hollow. It's a little bit suspicious if you're 30k. You're maybe a little bit questioning what Storm is planning here, if they have some sort of cheese strategy prepared. And I'm not sure if that will be enough for Storm. They looked really good at the start of the game, and I do think a lot of the issues of the last game did fall on the talent choices, and maybe just not generally understanding how their team's styles match up into each other. But that's a big deal. That's not a small thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that is a thing that continues going forward. 30k with what I would argue was the worst draft in the last game, still extremely dominant, ending the game in about 14 minutes. Very impressive, and pretty much what you would expect and hope for this 30k roster.
Memory serves me correct, it was June in Season 1 on Sidestep Kings who played the Lost Vikings as a 3-stack in the top lane. If I'm remembering correct, that is exactly where June did it, and I think that was one of the few times he actually did play in Season 1 of HeroesCCL for Sidestep Kings. But got some bans coming through here, and of course, Grubsting. I don't know why I want to say that, but
that's me.
Grubby, yeah, Grubsting. That was actually what I was using in dress rehearsal when we were referring to Justing to use your parts.
Grub.
But Grub, what do you think about this Curse Hollow matchup so far, and some of the bans that are coming through, maybe even potential picks?
Tyrael ban is certainly interesting. He hasn't had the best results so far yet. Tyrael is kind of a difficult hero to play, but he does take bosses with Holy Ground, I suppose. Maybe there's some kind of tech that Cure is expecting from scrims. I'm not exactly sure. They banned Tyrael over anything else that early. That's surprising.
It's a very early Brightwing, Justing. It's
Very early.
Really early Brightwing.
Too early. Again, they might be preparing for some potential cheese coming out from Storm. I think that 30k is going to be trying to be as flexible as possible with their first couple picks here. And we do see a Dahaka Sylvanas, so not likely to see a Vikings pick come out. However,
well,
we did see Lauber play main tank Dahaka before, so there is still a hope.
Sylvanas is really good with and against Vikings and Abathur.
But is this like too much of a Hail Mary? Is this too much of a risk in game number 2 of a best of 5 to go for this? Is this a tactic where you go for something so crazy you catch the enemy off guard here, Justin, or something? Like, trying to get in the mind of Storm Esports, but it's so hard to with CPX on that team.
I don't think so. I think Storm is probably going to be the team that is the most weird. I'm expecting this season, doing the most weird things. I know CPX is having a lot of impact and pull on the team, so I think building a team sort of around CPX is going to lend to kind of enabling him. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe something like an Abathur Genji potentially coming out from Storm, and even potentially having an Abathur solo heal comp. Some weird things I could definitely suspect being in the works. And I know CPX loves Genji, so I wouldn't be surprised with some of the bans and picks we saw on it yesterday to see CPX pick it up today.
I mean, what was it last season? He did play that Nova on Volskaya Foundry.
I love that, man.
They
it was
didn't
a
win,
good
but
idea.
It kind of worked. Like, it kind of worked, Grubby. They just needed a Murky with Octograb, honestly.
It was close to working. It was a cool idea. Using Nova to constantly get the turret camp. It was original. CPX was running that. The Medivh ban makes sense though. CPX kind of owned on a Cursed Hollow game in the previous season with Medivh.
Yep.
The 30k seemed to be trying to shut down that option for him. They've managed to put Lauber on Diablo again, which just going by last game, they should be happy with. 30k that is, by removing 2 other tank options in a Nubarak Imperial.
So this is our last 2 picks, and of course, Justing, we'll get your thoughts here as to what could potentially happen, as we will see the full draft of 30k. Ooh, okay, Kier's Tracer. Not something I'd really like to ever play against.
Yeah, Kier's Tracer's definitely pretty powerful. We're going to see it paired with the Brightwing, which is a little weird. It's not the absolute best, but it's also not the worst pairing with Tracer. Malfurion would probably be the best pairing. And they do get a last pick Hogger for Liam, which is kind of ridiculous to get Hogger last pick ever. Also, Cattle getting Muradin is just a powerhouse of a hero as well. The Rhaegar last pick, it's not super surprising with the priority we've seen on Rhaegar, but it may be. I was kind of hoping to see a Monk with the 7-sided strike, because you do have the isolation between the Haka and the Maiev. Being able to look for a one-shot with the mind control potentially could have been quite nice. But this makes a little bit more sense for Storm if they're going to be looking to play that aggressive style, especially with Lauber playing the Diablo with the damage build. That definitely is going to... The rest of his comp lends a lot better to that playstyle if that's the way that he wants to play. We saw in the last game, he didn't go the W build like I expected, and so I'm expecting more of just the damage build. And with the rest of their comp, they have the Maiev this game that was banned away. Maybe this game from CPX, we'll see why these teams are prioritizing Maiev so heavily all of a sudden. Hopefully he will be the first one to kind of make it look OP, like we've been seeing it banned super early, and we've been seeing it picked quite a lot. CPX is quite flexible, and I'm excited to see that. But going into 30k, they have very strong heroes across the board. The real wild card is the Tracer, played by Cure. But I'm expecting Muradin to be fairly invincible in this game, and it's going to take near perfect focus by Storm if they want to be able to take down anyone on the front line of 30k.
Alrighty, well, Justing, thank you for the breakdown as always. We'll see you after the map for further analysis of this Curse Hollow game, because we are loaded in, and Storm Esports will be in the blue, CPX on the Maiev, Maka on the Sylvanas, Swampgrad on the Dahaka, June to play Rhaegar, and Lauber back on his Diablo. Over in the red, we are looking at 30k, looking to continue their ride or roll through this first best of 5 of the day. They've already got one on the board. Liam on the Hogger, Kier on the Tracer, Cattle on the Muradin, Legacy on the Brightwing, and Madara on the Lunara. I personally really like the draft, Grubby, of this 30k roster. There's so much disengage or even like chase potential. Muradin with Dwarf Toss, Blinks from Tracer, Hogger with spins. He could Hortipult, but I honestly prefer the Shockwave. Blink heals from Brightwing to get her out of sticky situations. Lunara leaping strikes potentially. I think there's so much that 30k has, whereas it feels Storm needs to just run into the face of 30k, and 30k can either back away or fight back. I'm calling for 30k, but of course, Grubby, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on all of this as well.
Bahamut, you never want to hear that it's hard to take down a tank from our analyst Justin. Muradin feeling fairly invincible is a problem because he's a significant crowd control deliverer and damage dealer. So if he is a problem already to be taken down, and I'm in full agreement, then what about the Hogger, the Tracer, the Lunara? They could have nearly free reign. I think this is a big draft victory for 30k as well, and it's definitely going to be very difficult for Storm in this game. Just thinking of forward to the future where Storm actually does win this game. If that happens, I want everyone to be impressed with the odds that they are upsetting in this game. Being down in the series, seemingly having a draft where it is going to be difficult, it would be really impressive. I would love to see some claps.
Some claps, okay. Oh wait, you can't see it. Sorry, you can hear it.
I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Synesthesia.
wonderful, perfect. Phew. So we already have some camps to be grabbed on the map. First objective phase will be in the bottom lane. So I do like the rotation of the camps from the side of Storm Esports. They got their Bruiser camp or their Knight camp in the mid lane, and they've got their Siege Giants in top lane. That should kind of arrive into the Fort Front Gate area just as the objective is up, if not maybe being contested. So that is going to be a nice sort of split, forcing someone to have to go up there. And actually, we already have Cattle going into that top lane on the Muradin, and he did go into Sledgehammer at level 4, which is a great kind of siege and wave clear tool. Muradin, I don't think he's like, he doesn't super struggle with wave clear. He's not the best at it, but this Sledgehammer really helps just either siege into structures or even getting rid of some of these camps, especially post 10 with the piercing value, and then post 13 with the assumed Bronzebeard Rage. That really amplifies his available kind of clear in some of these moments, as well as team fights as well. Maka and friends all positioned for this objective, and Grubby, we're about to get in the first one, but Storm looking like they're ready for the fight as 30k arrives.
It's going to be charge build once again from Lauber. This time no Anduin to save somebody. Lauber, of course, would love to get a nice little charge on someone like Lunara or Tracer and try to take them down forthwith. Let's see how both of the teams are going to be trying to take this objective fight. We've got CPX and Legacy in the top lane, getting that side lane XP. CPX now coming in with Maiev, looking to join the fight, maybe for a 5 versus 4. They need to make this happen quickly, or else Brightwing is going to get too much side lane value. Swamp Grotta comes in with the Brush Stalker. He's hounding Hogger. There goes the Drag Tongue, but it gets cleansed away by Legacy. It's a 5-on-5. June channeling, and the interrupt.
Interrupt, and there will be a recall from Cure to be able to get out of the Umbra Bind and the damage as well. Brightwing did join the team, as this is a Fire Stomp out from Lauber to buy a little bit of time and delay things out. We do have that Sentinel Wisp at level 1, which is providing a lot of vision around this area. Lauber is seen as he's trying to flank into the enemy, but it's not going to work out, as another Wisp will go out into another bush, and it will be cleared out by Sylvanas' Haunting Wave. Maiev, Spirit of Vengeance, blinks forward. CPX looking for the Umbral Bind. Maka getting low. Here comes the Lauber Diablo Shadow Charge. Another Spirit of Vengeance. No trigger on the teleport as the totem ends. Maka getting low here on the bottom of our screen. Able to back away. Has to hearth out. Doesn't look like they have well. Lauber gets the combo onto Cattle. Phase shift from Brightwing. And with all of this happening, we actually already have Liam back in top lane. We've got Swamp Grotta already back in mid. CPX already helping out. So it seems like the members of Storm Esports have said, okay, we're done fighting around this. We're just going to go ahead and give it away. And we don't want to lose too much because Liam is starting to push things up in top. And the same can be said through the mid and bottom. Actually, in bottom lane, Tracer is being threatened for a second there.
Looks like Cure has good control over his faculties. He knows how much he can do against these two here. As long as he doesn't put his back against the wall, Lauber shouldn't be able to take him down with that Diablo. Now, in the leading up to the next tribute, we must be conceding that this tribute location is not very fortuitous for Storm. They just lost a neutral tribute location, and the next tribute could be in any of the other 5 positions. It's going to be top right, which means that the third tribute will be on the left. We had a center location, we have a right location. The next will be either top left or bottom left. That's interesting. Hogger.
Ooh, good bounce right now. There's going to be a brush duck in from the Dahaka as well. Blink heal, or excuse me, phase shift from Brightwing. There's a burrow from Swamp Grotta. A lot of damage on the Legacy, and that's going to be a Loon's Grace, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be the main... a Loon's Wrath, excuse me, will be the reason that the CPX found that kill onto Brightwing. And you were saying that it's, this top right, it should go over to the side of 30k, but I like the invade from Storm Esports. If my memory serves me right, it should be bottom left, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think it's like... No?
There was one middle bottom. There was middle bottom, there was top right, and it's when 2 out of 3 block appear bot or top, then it must be the other hemisphere.
Okay.
Because it was mid bot and top right, it can now be top left or bottom left.
I know it's sets of 3, and then after this one it will it'll randomize and all that. But I thought it was since it was bottom or top right, then it was going to go bottom left. Regardless, that was the old way we had to do things. Now we just look at the minimap and it already tells us. But you used to back a long time ago. You had to just know. You had to kind of do these quadrants, or not quadrants, these sextants. Would that be right?
Hexagon. Hexasextons, I believe it is.
I got math right earlier, so I don't need to do it right anymore. But the big thing here is going to be that it will be on this top left. There's a Bosch pushing in, and we already have Murden kind of anchor forward for his team. Hogger, Liam is going to do things in mid, and we have Dahaka, Dahaka pushing up in the bottom lane a little bit further. Swamp Grotto, excuse me.
Yeah, so I'm Grotto getting that XP from the boss and making sure that it is powerful enough to take down the entire bottom fort. 1 tribute apiece with vision advantage to Sturm. Should be quite a good position here for Storm. 30k needs to have this fight happen fast because they're investing 5 people's presence. So in they go. Any delay that Storm can do is a good thing. In comes the Haka. He gets the isolation on Brightwing. There's the combo on Brightwing. He gets hunted to 0'd by Lobber and by Swamp Grotto. Nice kill there by Storm.
Storm Esports will be able to grab this objective. The boss in top lane threatening onto a keep front gate. The boss in bottom doing the same. Both teams will have to clear. Both teams don't have a curse yet, but members of Storm might be the ones to grab first curse, and if they are, then those are the comms that we definitely want to be checking out, as both bosses will be cleared out. Actually, bottom falls before it even hits the keep, so 30k still finding a little bit of value through top lane. Next objective, though, is going to be on the bottom right. You know, the other thing we were talking about spawning locations of these curses is the top center and the bottom center is always where it spawns at the start of the game. It's either top center or bottom center. It's never on the right or the left for the first one, which I always find interesting. But here we go, bottom right of the map, a camp for top lane. Yeah?
Do you want to hear more voices than just mine?
Oh, well, I mean, no, but yes.
Aw, correct answer, but let's do it anyway.
Who are we going
Absence makes the heart grow fond. Let's go into 30k.
In we go.
They're looking here.
Just cap it.
Legacy cap.
Just watch the dude.
I have no E.
Top's gonna start ending soon.
He might dig in soon.
Yeah, he probably will.
Capping. They'll just eat in.
So yeah, I'm done to look at it.
They're giving and
They're
seeding.
giving. We gotta clear top.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get the.
It's hard to get there in time, but
I can run straight. I can save
Sure.
it. Our easies are up too if Liam wants to do that or something.
yeah, I can.
I might run up for the Dahaka as well then.
We see
he's
them all
running, he's running.
here. They might run to easies if they're insane.
Yeah. Oh, Wisp just
It might be doomed.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's unlucky.
Diablo's in. They're pushing.
Alright, next
I'm getting
one's up
easies
here.
done.
We're gonna be
Z30.
in trouble.
Let me get you another wave. We don't have Z. We don't have
We're
Z.
gonna have to.
I'm
Kyle
fine,
might
I'm
be in
fine,
trouble.
I'm fine.
He
Okay,
might
okay.
be out. Yeah, they use
He
cleanse
dug
there.
onto him.
Not
We
fine
can
anymore.
clear another top wave then.
Yeah, we can run it down here. You might actually
Like
be
they're running
up.
at Liam.
Going to
You-
RI.
I'm okay. I'm
Yeah, they're
He's
running at
gonna
me
get
now.
another top.
Oh, they're
They're gonna siege mid hard with Sylph.
Yeah, I think they're gonna come from here actually. Never mind.
Bad time.
They're actually running straight to Tracer. They're running to Tracer. Careful top.
Oh,
They're all
God.
there. You should be.
You
out.
guys might have to hearth. Yeah. I'm gonna get mid push.
We might have to give curse. Honestly,
Do they catch us?
No, we're out.
you're out. I think
Maybe
we
have
have
to
to give.
give.
It's just too clean.
That's
Yeah, our waves are these.
Yeah, true.
Boss is 130.
The 1-4 wave we have is like
Can we do this
the
quick?
only wave that's not good.
Fast,
Yeah,
fast, fast.
I'm gonna make sure I'm here in case they
Cool.
invade.
Sure.
I
Like
don't think
everything
they
on
would,
it?
but it's possible.
I think they could.
We see Rhaegar on the trib.
Got some insight as to how good Cattle was right there, and then the moment he was saying, I'm good, I see the Jahaka brushstock, and I'm like, oh, he's not good anymore.
He can take the pain, is what he means.
Yeah, exactly.
Really interesting to see this from the perspective of 30k. We saw here a position where in a 5-on-5, everyone alive, a tribute and a curse is willingly given up. And they said, the lanes are pushed, our lanes are looking good and clean. So, red team is cursed, their minions have 1 HP, will die easily, and none of their defensive structures can currently fire. 37 seconds left. You see, these cannon towers are not shooting right now. That means that they may lose mid-fort. But the buffering that the bottom siege camp and the middle bruiser camp provided, as well as the deep distance with which the top lane has been pushed towards the blue side, it's really devaluing this curse. This is the collective effort of 3 tribute collections. and there's no boss pushing right now, nor can it be taken soon. Great laydown, honestly, by 30k, as they do get taken out here, and it goes from bad to worse, with Hogger getting caught and Brightwing trying to save him. 30k loses 2 heroes after basically doing a perfect strategy of ignoring the tribute, ignoring the curse. They almost got away with it too, but not so fast, says Storm, as they smile and smirk smugly. They go in for the keep. They try to take down this keep, and making sure that this perfect stratagem, this laydown by 30k, will be turning badly and sour in their mouths. They take down a keep. Great job by Storm.
I would have had it if it wasn't for those pesky Storm esport rotations that do constantly find these ganks. I mean, Legacy going in trying to make the big save, but that is just unfortunate. We actually, I think, have a replay so we can take a look and see how that all happened and how it all just went to the side of Storm Esports.
Here you have that rotation bottom right. They're still happily clearing minions when suddenly Liam gets attacked. There is Lunara being served as well. She has Leaping Strike, so she might be able to get away sometimes. I think Lunara may have spec'd into Abolish Magic as well. Yeah, so he would be able to save Hogger, actually, which makes that containment disc by CPX extra smart.
Now this is a very aggressive invade. Liam has the bounce right now. There's going to be CPX going in. A huge Umbral Bind as well as the Apocalypse from Diablo. Cattle on the backline putting some pressure onto the Sylvanas, who's going to get hit with a Leaping Strike. But Madara is on the wrong side of the gate. Madara needs to get out of here. Huge shockwave from Liam. Big damage, but no kills. There's a kill onto Diablo. Earth Grasp Totem does grab Cure for a second. CPX low does pop the Vault of the Warden's wielding arrow from Sylvanas. Shuts down Cure. And it may have been a Diablo soul reset, but still 2 are dead on the side of 30k for 26 to 35 seconds. This is easily a singular boss to the side of Storm. If they can play this super aggressive, they might be able to double boss.
Man, that was so sick, actually. Hogger, Liam, he had this insane spin that went 6 times in a row in a straight line across the Bruiser Camp. Not enough to cap the Bruiser Camp, which meant that spell armor actually started to become a factor where Storm was protected. Nonetheless, Hogger got so much pummel value, which reduces enemy spell power by 50% and their movement speed, while also dealing damage all the time to all the heroes, that it created this big rift between where Lauber Diablo was and where his teammates were able to get to. So Lauber ended up falling here to the members of 30k, but finally Hogger went down as well. And then Cure, he tried to greed to try and take down a 5% health CPX, but he got silenced. He came in, cheers, love, and Sylvanas is like, shh, and he got taken down with the Wailing Arrow. And now with the full HP boss, do you think this might be it, Bahamut?
I'm not sure. I'm not very good at calling the end of games, but this is going to be a lot of damage onto Cattle. He may fall, gets the Dwarf Toss away, Shockwave out from Hogger, who gets an insane bounce. That is such a good bounce. That is such a good double kill. The core shielding is going to be scratched. They should lose a little bit of percent off their core. Not much, as another curse point is up, and you can already see so many Storm Esports players are rushing to be able to get this cap, so that way the members of 30k can't curse. And they're not going to be able to curse, so while we see a camp to be grabbed, let's go ahead and break down what just happened. Grubby, you gotta explain this to everyone at home.
5-man at the core, you can make it work. You can get the victory if you can get a single kill. There is Hogger being shut down with the containment disc. A little bit out of sync with the rest of it, though. Now they make a decision to go for Muradin. Muradin manages to pop Avatar just before he gets isolated. Look at Hogger now, Shockwave. Staggering blow into the loot horde and a spin through the entire enemy team. It is the epitaph for Storm here, who end up losing several members there, and it stops in their tracks. What?
So, I'm looking at minimap and I'm seeing June and Swamgrana. They really want to kill Legacy, but did they just overextend? Was this too greedy? There's a burrow. Is there an interrupt? Yes, the polymorphic. Good night. That actually might have been the start of the end for 30k. They have a boss top.
Oh, well, they try to make a play for Tracer here. Can they actually? She gets silenced for a bit. Another silence coming in. Sweet night there, Tracer. Back to Overwatch 2 with you. Mokka says he gets another kill there on his ranged assassin rival. Can they actually get Muradin here?
The Hellgate was utilized by Lauber, but Muradin's able to dwarf launch out of that. seems to be fine, also has the rewind. There's a keep in top to go down. Both teams have a win condition, and look at the bottom right of our map here. Next to Brightwing, you got a Lunara, and she is ready to channel the curse. She's waiting. She's waiting as much as I think. I think Modder's trying to delay it as much as possible so that maybe Cure can get back in. Doesn't seem like actually that was the case as it's still 20 seconds, but either way, we'll see what the members of 30K can do with this, because right now they're just kind of not doing much.
What do you think about this curse here?
Yeah, this is...
Mid lane isn't pushed. It's gonna push maximum 2 waves into mid keep towers. Bosses are not available. Typically on Cursed Hollow, win condition are bosses. Curses are a means to an end. They are not the end until maybe level 23 or so. So this seems like a mega weird curse capture. It really serves just to take some wind out of the sails of Storm rather than trying to enable anything for 30k. But now they go on Diablo. Oh, sorry, that's not Diablo, it's the Haka. He gets the double Ancestral.
That's that Farseer's Blessing we were talking about in the last map. Cattle leaps forward. He's got that Bronzebeard Rage, so he's just running through the wave, which actually just burns it down. There's a Siege Giant camp in bottom lane that is going to take down the fort for free. So 30k says, let's make sure that we get as much value on the map as possible. And here will be a Knight camp, a Bruiser camp for the mid lane. Boss and bottom up in 56 seconds. Boss and top lane up in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, if anyone was wondering. Diablo full souls. Dahaka 1 stack away from full agility. He's still moving at 138% for 5 seconds when he does tap a bush. As this is that camp in mid supplying some spell armor. You're going to see that next to Madara's name right now, or anyone who steps inside that little circle, getting that 20 spell armor. But that expires. Seems like there's just a poke under the keep. Little turtle up from the side of Storm Esports. Does 30k step up? Do they try and take this down? There's a wave here. Here gets the blink away.
Umbral Bind there on Tracer. Will actually become, it would actually be cool to hear from Storm right now as they are defending on 3 lanes. Do you want to hear from them?
In we go.
When we have a shit up.
Watch me.
Care a bit.
They wish.
Kill the wisp.
They're split from Hogger.
I mean, we can clear this bot and then look.
Yeah, and then we play for
Yes,
boss.
the boss is up as well, like, we need to be around it.
We're split.
They should know the boss is game, so...
Yes, they're here.
Yeah, they're here.
I can't.
Yeah, let's go then, let's go together.
Yeah,
I
I'm
burrow
fine.
blind, I burrow
I'm
blind.
going in. Yeah, Luna has to jump out. I got Luna.
Yeah, kill Luna! Up! Luna!
They combo me, no combo, no
I'm on.
combo.
I have respawn if I die, so I'm
Lava
trying.
just come.
Okay, coming.
I'm low.
Murmur.
Yeah.
Boss after. Boss.
Tracer here. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
watch the shot.
Careful though.
What are we
Boss
doing
now.
then?
Boss is end.
Boss end.
Do you have burrow, Sam? Do you have burrow?
They have to fight.
Oh, they're fighting.
Okay, they're fighting. Look at Hogger. He's split. He has nothing.
Yeah, I can.
Keep chasing Hogger. Keep chasing
Open on
Hogger.
him.
Kill Brightwing after if you brings him. Okay. I think we can score. I think we can straight up core now.
Go.
You have burrow.
At us, or I don't have.
2 cannons water.
So I have to cover 3 free cuts.
I think, right?
Trace behind me.
Go core.
Let's go core. Ignore.
If we need to go core right now, like.
Yes, let's go core. We should win.
It's not a problem, I call.
I'm gonna diss their Tracer or.
Yeah, they're fucked.
Nice.
Nice, good fucking shit.
Well played.
You better than NA, confirm?
The script.
And as we jump out of the comms, got to hear a little celebration from Storm Esports, who are going to be having an equalizer on Cursed Hollow, a fantastic map number 2. Honestly, that was the gameplay I was expecting to see from teams like this. That back and forth. That, honestly, Grubby, that seemed like it could have been anyone's game multiple times. Many times. It wasn't just like, oh, maybe here, maybe there. It was like, there was a bunch of moments where it was like, that might be an end for them, that might be an end for someone else.
Yeah, it was really scary for Storm for the moment there because they didn't have vision priority on the boss point, and the boss was ending either direction. It's 2 keeps apiece, and they kind of have to move in, but they are walking into an ambush. It's like one of those stories where they're like, "This seems like the perfect place for an ambush." I know, but we have to go anyway. And they go in, and Lauber does get ambushed, and then they all just converge on Lauber. June hits him with the Purge, hits him with the Ancestral. Diablo drinks the first Ancestral healing greedily, and then the rest of them say, come on over here, take the second Ancestral with us. Then you see that big AoE heal on everybody. And all 5 of them are healthy again, and the killing starts. good calls there. At first, bosses the right play, they get another kill, and they go straight up for the core. And the age-long debate of whether EU and NA is better will rage on, though Lauber seems to think the matter is settled.
We're only in game number 2 here, Justin, but I'm sure you got a lot to break down from that one.
Isn't Storm only 2/5 EU right now? Is my math?
CPX got.
I don't know. I don't know about the education system where Lauber's from, but just. Anyways, so there was a big difference in the comms between
allies on this team are like offended right now.
I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of a weird thing to say, right? When you're outnumbered, but it's fine. 30k comms when we listened was a little bit. It almost felt like there was too many chefs in the kitchen for 30k. When we listened to their comms, it felt like the comms became a little bit redundant. That they were all maybe looking at the same things, but not really contributing extra information. It's just they all wanted to speak about the same things. It felt like, and it felt maybe like there's going to be a bit of an issue of the power dynamic in that team, where you have a lot of players who want to be vocal leaders on the team all put together, whereas Storm's comms felt a lot more kind of integrated, where there was a lot of everyone kind of filling their own niche role in the comms. It felt like you had CPX, the hype man, gassing him up, just popping off in the back line, diving in, and shoutouts to CPX specifically for making the Maiev look good. I think his Maiev was the first one that really looked impressive to me that we've seen so far. We've seen quite a few Maevs yesterday, and none of them really looked very good, but CPX has looked a lot better. And I like the adaptation for Lauber as well. Lauber basically tank diffed this game. Cattle didn't really seem to have much, if any, impact at all in this game. His level 4 and 7 talents were a little bit weird as well. We saw the Stormbolt at level 4 and the Skullcracker at level 7. I don't think he was really auto-attacking much. I think the jump slow to kind of facilitate Liam and Madara's damage would have been a lot better. Same with the Tracer from Cure. That didn't feel like it got a lot of value, and this moment that's coming up a bit here, whether we see it or not, with Cure in that top lane where he does get picked after getting isolation dissed, was kind of the moment where 30k really started to fall apart in this game. And I like these aggressive team fights. I like that in the last game, Lauber maybe should have went for the defensive build, and in this game, it's, well, I'm Lauber, I have this aggressive playstyle, let's just build a comp that I can be aggressive and I can play this aggressive Diablo build and make it work with like players like CPX who are also aggressive. I really liked that, to see them all just all gas, just push the button and go in and just get that hard engage. Legacy got caught a couple times on Brightwing, which is a little uncharacteristic. Liam on the Hogger was kind of the shining light for 30k in that game. Liam had a lot of pop-off moments, but it still wasn't enough with the way that the rest of the team was getting kind of just beaten up by the side of Storm. So really exciting to see Storm going forward. They're playing significantly better than I expected them to, and we've definitely got a close series on our hands. Obviously it won't be a 3-0 anymore, but I'm not expecting a 3-1 either with the way that last game went. I'm expecting this to go to game 5.
I'd love a game 5. We all know that. It is a really, really good series. And the big thing for me is I actually want to shout out Maka. Maka's wailing arrows were so good in that game, because it was a great follow-up to Containment Disc. There was the 1.5 second silence, and then you have a wailing arrow on top of that, which was a great shutdown consistently, as you had mentioned, Justin, in that top lane. That was another great example of it. So just really good play from the side of Storm Esports in this first best of 5 of the day. But as always, we're getting ready for our third map. We're going to take a short little break. We're going to stretch our legs. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves some water, some tea, some coffee, maybe a little snack in between. And in that little break, I want you to go ahead and hit ! prize pool. You can get yourself over to the match arena. If you'd like to donate towards the prize pool, it's always very much appreciated. I know we're over $4,000 because of your generous donations. So thank you all so much for watching, supporting HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justin. I almost did it again. I don't know why, but I keep wanting to say Grudsting today. The weirdest thing. But either way, thank you all so much for joining us on this Sunday. Also, happy Mother's Day as well. Just happy to have you all here. And you know, I was complaining about how it's snowing to Justin in the break, but Grubby, what were you getting up to? Were you running around with Logan or something like that?
Just cuddle with Logan a bit, yeah. Not running around too much, more little cuddle.
I did see, what was it, yesterday or the day before, you posted a photo of him like laying out in the grass or something. Oh, it was so cute. It was so cute. My heart.
He loves to do that once a day, just roll in the grass. Honestly, I should live like a dog once, just do everything he does. And
yep.
Beautiful.
That'd actually be great. Like you can get like half of Logan's hamburger. Like you get half, he gets half. Anyways, so,
That sounds pretty good, but actually, now that my imagination is widening, not everything a dog does. I'll skip the eating wood and licking strange smells, but
Okay.
let's say all the acceptable things.
okay, there you go. We'll take that, of course. And Justin, how you doing? You ready for more Heroes of the Storm action today?
Yeah, I'm excited, especially with this series shaping up the way it has. I really expected a 3-0 coming out from 30k, and so to see Storm coming out looking so scary in that last game and actually contending so well, minus a few maybe talent misalignments, some weird things in the first game. Really excited to see how this series progresses with Storm being able to take that last game.
Well, I think we can actually see how the series is progressing. I think we can actually take a look at the maps already and find out where we're going to go to for map number 3 in our first best of 5 of the day. This is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen for map number 3. This will be the map choice of Storm Esports, as the losing side from last game, which was 30k, will be opting in for first pick priority. Grubby, I love Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's probably my top 3 maps. It's one of those maps that feels like it can be 12 minutes, it can be 24 minutes. Like there's kind of it's either short or it's really long. There's no in between. But I also like there's a lot of really great rotations. There's a lot of great team fights, and I just want to get your thoughts as well for what we can expect, or maybe what you just think about Tomb as well.
Yeah, I think what's fun about Tomb of the Spider Queen and what is so well designed is that it goes away from the let's say the problems of what maps like Hanamura can have and Braxis, where there is an objective that is relevant for some time, and then you fall back to, let's say, every camp has been taken, the objective has been taken, now it's just a waiting game for someone to make a mistake or someone to make a play. What's interesting about Tomb of the Spider Queen, you're always online. Every 20 seconds, or is it 30, a minion wave comes in every lane. So on average, that's 7 or 10 seconds per minion wave if you count all the lanes. All of those have a mini objective available via the gems that are dropping off the backline minion archers, little web shooters. So there's always something to do. So it goes far away from downtimes. It's always active. You're always either collecting gems or paying gems. Then there's like 4 mercenary camps as well, 3 lanes. It's really close together, so it doesn't feel too hard to be on the map. It's really quick to rotate, so it's a super dynamic map. It's my top 3 as well. Happy to be watching it now here for game number 3 of this amazing best of 5 already.
It's going to be a good one. Justin, are you ready to see Mephisto, Alex Straza, and Stitches being drafted for one team? And they're just going to go globes, right? It's OP.
It is OP. This might not be the map to do it. That might have been an Infernal Shrine strategy, just because you got the Alex there. But
I'm
maybe.
devastated. I'm devastated.
They might. Well, I mean, then you can throw in the Kerrigan too and take the shield regeneration talent. Yeah, it's a powerful Infernal Shrines comp, but unfortunately we are on Tomb of the Spider Queen, so not going to see it here. I do like this map as well. This is easily one of my top, probably my second favorite map right now. This BOE and Towers would be my other ones besides Shrines, but I really like just the close-knit map. I like the smaller maps a lot more. There's a lot more brawling that can happen. There's a lot more opportunities to get picks, and a lot more opportunities to just take 3v3s and 4v4s than there are on the larger maps. And I feel like that's really, I don't know, I think that's the best part of Heroes of the Storm, is just having those 3v3s, those 4v4s, those big fights like that. And immediately the Sylvanas picked up. This makes a lot of sense after how well Maka played Sylvanas in the last game. I hadn't really touched on that because it seems almost to be a given to me for Maka to do well on Sylvanas.
Yeah, true.
I didn't really hint on that, but for viewers at home who don't know, Maka is not a one-trick, but Sylvanas is kind of his signature hero. That's sort of what he's known for. So seeing him play it is kind of an expectation that he's going to do well and put out that consistent damage, have those wailing arrows. So he did put on a show with it in the last game, and it's now taken away by Madara, 30k not allowing them to have that.
Well, Madara had Sylvanas game 1 and 30k 1. Maka had Sylvanas game 2 and Storm 1. So obviously this is, we need to see the rest of the draft. This is obviously a 30k win right here, right, Grubby?
Murky, Cho'Gall, Abathur Vikings. But it's Sylvanas, so they win. But no, yeah, you're right. Sylvanas has been part of the winning team, and kind of harkens back to that observation that I made, that she gets picked a lot, she does well, never getting banned, which is certainly interesting, and I wonder if that's going to happen at some point at all.
Well, we do have Anduin Hogger. And there's actually, Justin, as I'm looking at this, there's two great options. You could Hortapult Light Bomb if you wanted. You could also, if I'm not mistaken, if you get the timing right, you could Haunting Wave Light Bomb too as well, if I'm not mistaken. The timing on it is very, very, there's a small window, but definitely I think there's a lot of really good maneuverability from the side of 30k, as that Stitches will get a respect ban. That's not something I would expect, really. Or maybe I should after Infernal
Would you
Shrines.
respect it?
I do respect it. I do respect it. I don't expect it.
Yeah. Let's inspect it.
Okay.
Yes. We'll inspect the Stitches ban. So there is a Cattle on the enemy team, and he did play quite well with it in game 1. So it's somewhat expected after inspecting it further. But Cattle very strong on that Stitches, and Tomb is one of Stitches' best maps. I'd say Towers of Doom is his best map overall, but this is probably his second best. There's just a lot of, with the lanes being so close together, there's a lot of opportunities to play out of vision and always be kind of afraid of a hook coming out through the walls. And Blaze Rhaegar picked up by Storm, already just really strong S tier picks, just really good first picks. Muradin being picked up by Lauber. Lauber, I'm expecting to have a slightly better performance on it than Cattle did in the last game. Lauber in the last season was one of the best, if not the best, Muradin players we had. So excited to see Lauber playing the Muradin again, as the priority for that has gone up a bit. Diablo is still available. Garrosh is available. There are the defensive tank options. Johanna is still up, actually, so that is definitely an option on Tomb. I'm pretty sure she was first picked yesterday on this map, so not a big surprise to see Johanna picked up. The Chromie picked up is a little strange. Comboing Sylvanas with Chromie isn't the most sustained damage combined.
Kind of liking the 30k draft, a little weird, but I'm also liking what I'm seeing for Storm. Any thoughts here, Grubby, as well?
Yeah, Chromie is one of those heroes, together with Hanzo and Junkrat, that does a really good job of providing vision over the bushes around the base station. And if played well, she can be a good damage dealer, both sustained and burst. And she's got Sylvanas to kind of pressure front lines. Sylvanas at pro play is like Raynor and better. She can survive standing in an apocalypse with Will of the Forsaken and still puts out a lot of single target damage on the front line, while also having things like what Maka did last game on Cursed Hollow, a 4-man Wailing Arrow. A little bit better than a 4-man Hyperion, as that basically won the fight for Storm last game. I like what both of the teams have brought out here.
Justin, of course, you got to get your thoughts as we're loading on into Tomb of Spider Queen map 3.
Yeah, I think the Vala pick is very strange coming out for their last pick for Storm. It doesn't have quite as much protection as you would typically like to see. You have Rhaegar as your only healer, when typically you'd like something like an Anduin, which is already taken by 30k. He has a lot easier time saving a Vala. It might be a little bit difficult. If Vala's ever hit by any CC basically from the side of 30k, she should just get deleted. So if Maka's playing that, he's going to have to position basically perfectly. I'm expecting Storm to be able to use that Vala advantage until level 10, but once level 10's hit, 30k should be able to take this.
Well, thank you as always, Justin, for the insight and analysis, and we will see what you have to say after this game, because we got a map number 3 loaded on in, Maka on the Vala, CPX on the Hanzo, Lauber on the Muradin, June on the Rhaegar, and Svamgrada on the Blaze. That's your Storm Esports roster. Over on the side of 30k, we are going to be looking at Liam on the Hogger, Madara on the Chromie, Cattle on the Joanna, Cure to play the Sylvanas, actually, and Legacy will be playing the Anduin. I'm feeling 30k here. I know there's a little bit of weirdness with it, but I also feel like the Joanna here could shut down the auto attack value of the Vala. And I know that she is going to be going into Fire at Will, the W build, which is going to be some big bursts, but she still has the vault forward for the auto attack at higher % damage. So it's one of those things where, like, I think as the game scales, Grubby, I feel like we're going to be looking at a 30k win. But of course, as Lauber gets chunked in mid and the rotations begin, what do you think about these two drafts for Tomb?
Yeah, I'm normally not a super fan of combining Hanzo and Vala either, but it is not impossible. It's just that both of them need quite a lot of healing and babysitting. Hanzo maybe a little bit less, but he's still a zero self-sustained kind of hero that can't heal himself. So there is a risk, is all I'm saying. But that's kind of expected. Lauber plays a risky gameplay style, which can be really coming out of left field and surprising opponents. And that really worked for Storm last game. That's why we're at the 1-1. So I think it is very Storm Esports to go in this round.
Okay, alright. We have a bottom lane camp to be contested. Madara comes down here on the Chromie, and that's a lot of damage on the Svamgrada, who is... I don't know if he popped his Pyromania or if that was just the gauntlets. He did pop his Pyromania, but Svamgrada getting very low, and that is first blood to the side of 30k.
Very nice, getting that first blood there. They tried to make the invasion on Hager, but he said, this is my camp. And 30k rotated better and in greater numbers. And this is such a big reward for 30k, because now they have the siege camp and a double turret setup here, able to black arrow down some of those towers. It does a lot of damage.
Just looking at the Chromie time stop talent at level 2 for her, or 4 for the regular hero. She went into chronic conditions, which is movement speed by 30%, so mount speed for allies, and to the enemies that are stopped, they have their speed reduced by 30%, so down to 70. So we will be seeing some play around that. And also, I think that's going to play very well into Legacy on that Anduin. You just saw him timing things out. Got that Chastise perfect onto Lauber, seemingly at max range, and perfect timing of when the time stop will, well, literally stop. But anyways, mid lane camp is going to push in, and Grubby, I'm sure you got some thoughts on, you know, who grabbed this camp first.
Yeah, Bruiser camp going to the mid first means that you will be fighting under enemy towers. That means that the blue Bruiser camp now has the advantage of tower backup, and it will last beyond the red Bruiser camp. However, it is not entirely in favor of blue, as this situation normally would be, because 30k was able to do quite a lot of damage on the Bruiser camp and on the towers, despite having that defender's advantage. Sylvanas plays a part there, so does Chromie. Both have big penetration power, able to shoot from very far and do good siege damage regardless of the position. So not too bad, and in fact, it is 30k that gets ahead from that exchange right there.
Speaking of things that are just going to be building up here as well, I'm just looking at the level 1s and just the scaling of these teams. We also have the scaling on Anduin. He's got that piercing light from level 4 that will be building up 1% up to 10 total, but that's on his spell powers. So not only will his Chastise be empowered, but his healing will be empowered as well. And so as long as he can land a few of these, he'll be building up a little bit more spell power, which will be nice for his output. Also, just really quickly as well, Joanna did go subdue at the level 4. She will be trying to get 4 enemy heroes hit, but there is still value even if you don't finish it. If you hit 2 enemy heroes or more, you get the 80% slow, and you just saw that right there, almost getting enough damage into Maka. Liam wasn't rotated in enough. I think Liam, if he was able to get there, might have had a spin through that would have found the kill, but still, 7 talent in favor for the side of 30k first. Turn-in availability is here for this red team. 1 gem is necessary to be picked up on the side of Storm, but it seems like that is the red Webweaver to descend to 30k. How much value do they get with this?
Average value is about 5 towers or so, I would say. Maybe you get about 2 full walls and then like a bit of another. So if 6 towers go down now with the middle already being hurt, that would be an average value. If 30k can do more than that, it will likely because of a kill or because of Black Arrow's value. So let's see how it's going to go. Storm is starting to defend in the center first. Nice Stormbolt there on Sylvanas. There's that purple wave that doesn't have a name because you can't click it, so we'll never know what it's called, I guess, unless we go into the game
Someone
files.
actually told me, and I forget what I think they said it's the death wave, because if you die to it, the... Ouch! Ouch! Madara, dang. But if you die to it, it actually tells you on your death recap what you died to, so that is the one way. I think it's, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, I'm not as skilled as Justin and Grubby. Justin just corrected us. It's called spaghetti. Got it.
Oh, it's spaghetti. Yeah, Justin has like different names for everything. Pidgin, HoTS language.
There's you know, the lobsters and bottom lane for this map, but no, I believe I think it's the Death Wave is actually what it's called. But either way, we do have the continued engagement through top. Lauber goes in with the dwarf toss. He doesn't have that heavy impact at level 7, so he's not going to have the 80% slow for 1.5 seconds. And this first Webweaver phase has gone beyond, I think, what we expected for the side of 30k. Oh, yeah. 2 forts, all front gates. This is really good momentum for 30k.
Yeah, that was a 9 out of 10. That was a 9 out of 10 execution for 30k. They got a lot of damage. Madara with the huge kill there on CPX there with his Chromie against Hanzo. That kill really secured a lot more, and it's that Sylvanas power, man. I don't know why we're not banning Sylvanas yet. I think it's gonna happen at some point. Now, Jet Propulsion was used already to get away. That's a 70 gem denial. Can they protect the gems? Lauber was thinking about it, but not even he will jump in to get those 27 gems. Great kill there, perfect overlap in CC. Plays dead.
I was literally about to, right when you were going to finish your point, I was going to be like, oh, look at that, we got a Mind Control Sylvanas, and hey, we get to see it right there, and I love it. You got the Call of the Dark Lady at level 20 for, like, it's a 15-second cooldown, but then you also, we talked about this last season, you still have the projectile going out, because once you hit R, then you get your cooldown immediately. So, effectively, like, by the time it all goes out and something happens, the cooldown for Call of the Dark Lady and everything at level 20 is, like 10, 12 seconds. It's really, really short for the Sylvanas, as there is a turn in for Storm, but can they actually get the gems turned into the clutch?
That is the question. We have almost enough gems as well for 30k, but not quite. Everyone is loitering around the point here. Lauber takes a lot of damage. Let's see, he still has Avatar available, so this is Muradin's strength. Kind of like what Thrall does from the bruiser position, Muradin does from the tank position. Make it seem like you're about to die, then have lots of ways to heal yourself up and put yourself back into the fight. It's the bait style. Perfect for Lauber, as 30k is starting to pay 10 gems.
Whoa.
Mind control max distance.
That's a turnaround from Maka with the Rain of Vengeance. There's going to be an arrow from CPX as well. Falling Sword from the Johanna does have that cleanse underneath. Speaking of cleanses, Lauber does get cleansed, but that doesn't do enough. He gets purged, actually, since it was the Rhaegar, and CPX...
Actually, he gets evaporated away from the map. Is what really happened to him.
He gets Thanos snapped away, and that is...
sterilized away from Tomb of the Spider Queen. He still had Avatar button available, but it all happened too fast for him. And Hogger starts the boss.
No, he tried to, but the easy throw dynamite. He threw the easy throw dynamite to tag the boss, but it didn't explode because there's the cooldown for it or whatever, the timer, excuse me.
Yeah, and the boss is not a hero, so you cannot get the instant explosion as you would when you target it on a hero.
Yeah, so that is a little miscommunication or timing coming out from 30k, but you know, it's another web weaver for 30k. You want to get into their comms as they have the advantage?
Let's go, 30k comms.
Chance I can tap really quick. I'm going actually.
I'm getting one more wave incoming. Okay, we just play. We see Rhaegar top. We see Rhaegar top. Yeah, it's hard.
I have vision in 5 for Blaze. I think he's probably right below us.
Blaze is bottom right now. Maybe I go bottom. Bottom's like really. Bottom is huge. Yeah,
sure, we can go there instead. We can just 5-minute. I'll leave a clock on the flank.
Maybe MCM. Just
maybe, yeah. I'm ready.
If you hit him, that's right.
Try. That's fine.
Rhaegar's still not here.
Leave the side walls up. Don't break these. Don't break these.
Okay. Yeah.
Makes it easier for stands.
Yeah. We're not gonna get too much. That's fine.
We got the wall.
I'm getting midway. Maybe mid wall here too. They're gonna run at us. Be ready for arrow. Watch out for arrow.
14's huge for me.
Legacy, they keep looking at you, okay? So be a little far back. Liam does this.
I'll get bottom if you want to look at it, like over the wall.
I don't have MC yet, or I would. Just watch turn in. I'm gonna get bottom cam. Lauber's in here. Rhaegar and Blaze are both not there, so you don't have to be scared.
Yeah. I don't know where I am.
They visioned us. You have that? Okay, you gotta be careful, Stu, they're coming now. Blaze could be paying bottom as well.
I mean,
I'm watching bot. I'm watching bot.
Falling, Anduin pull, and
yeah.
Like we're pretty safe.
They're playing top side.
They're going
top side. Pretty accurate, yeah. They're 5. They're 5. If we keep them here, it's good. I'm getting mid prio real quick.
Can you get this one?
Coming? Mid prio. On the way.
I mean,
I got it.
Look at me. I need. I don't have E.
I'm here. I'm pulling.
They zero.
Oh,
I'm running.
Look at Blaze in the bush, maybe.
Yeah. Chunking Blaze.
Blaze
charge
back here.
I need help out of this.
You're super.
We don't have pull. I'm dead.
Oh.
Maybe MC here. You ready?
I'm ready.
Now?
Falling.
Oh yeah.
It's fine.
We have to give pay. They might tag boss. Yeah. We fight boss if they go.
Okay, I'm running over.
Yeah, they are. We need to stall them.
That was a very busy kitchen, Grubby, to quote Justing, essentially.
Very busy kitchen, but pretty good chefs.
Yes, very good chefs, extremely busy kitchen. So much was happening, it's just like, I don't have this, let's go here, I'm dead, I need a pull, I can't do this, but the fight continues in this top lane as there will be a purge onto Labra, pops the Avatar, there is an Ancestral onto Maka, but the snipe from Madara with the Sand Blast coming through, and oh my god. Maka almost chunks into Madara, gets some flash heals out from the Anduin. Desperate Pair might have been used right there. I'm just going to check really quickly. But of course, Grubby, any thoughts on what we just heard?
Yeah, pretty good comps. No real complaint about it. A game was played, communication was made. They knew what can happen, what will happen. Maka there with 26 gems. There's another Hanzo arrow coming in on the backline. A 4v5 was won previously by 30k. Now it's a 5v4 in their favor. Oh, June dropping so low, 360 life. I think it was even lower at some point. 30k going in on CPX. Does he have a jump? I'm checking. No jump available. He gets away as well. 30k won the 4-on-5 spectacularly, getting that 1 kill. The macro was advantageous for them with the siege camp nearly taking down the bottom keep. Now finally going for that boss again. Storm, under no circumstance can they get here in time.
I was looking at CPX and I was assuming he was dead, and I'm like, how are they not closing the distance or anything like that? Good dismount with the scatter arrow. He's also got that fleet of foot at level 13, so if you hit an enemy hero with a stormbow, you get 10% movement speed for 6 seconds, and you can max that out to 30%, which is mount speed. So he may have been able to just get away a little bit faster because he had that level 13. But here come the blue web weavers. Boss in top lane for the side of 30k. This feels like it's going to be more of a defensive turn than anything else for the side of Storm to just push out the waves and buy a little bit of time on the map.
It's funny how spiders don't attack each other when they're big. The small ones keep attacking each other, but the boss ignores the web weaver spawn, and the web weaver ignores the boss. Pretty interesting.
Mutual agreement, you know. It's respect. It's respect. That's what it is.
The little minions do fight each other non-stop. They've got something to learn from the elder minions. But like you said, it's a boss disempowerment play. Getting the objective here. They're only going to get 1 out of 3 to actually be pushing with, and because they're just an inch away from level 16, they're unable to really bring about any aggression to bear upon that top lane. So now, of course, another turn is in the bank for Storm. If they can get it, that's where the game really opens up for Storm.
The waves have been pushed in by that Webweaver phase, and the clutch just opens up. There's 68 gems in the pocket of Storm Esports, 53 for 30k. Both teams have not turned in any. But I want to point out that 30k is extremely close. Light Bomb condemned. That's a lot of damage onto CPX, who does get the purge. The Mind Control connects onto Lava as he's in the slowing sands, pops the avatar. There will be a time trap onto Swamp Grata, as well as CPX getting so low has to back away. Swamp Grata drops the bunker. He's a little isolated from his team. Might be able to jet propulsion away. Cattle still chasing in, has the condemn. Liam looking for an angle here. No shockwave available for 53 seconds as it was just used. Slowing Sands did go out, and it seems like the members of Storm are able to back away. But the big thing here is to talk about is 30k zoning back Storm and allowing 30k to turn in 51 gems in that small little window where Storm was backing off to clear this mid wave. Things are looking good for 30k as the waves are pushed back again in favor of this red team.
Yeah, turn-ins are so valuable when the lanes are pushed up, and so unvaluable when the lanes are not. It hurts me to remember some of the games in Storm League where you get the turn in, you're all alive, you're all free, and then people don't clear the 3 lanes. There's like one minion wave really holding up the spiders. In comes another light bulb. Merlin gets deleted. He had 16 seconds on the avatar. Falling sword chase on Vala. They're trying to get more. There's a condemn. Is there a punish? Nice peel by Swamp Grota, but it's not enough. The long distance shots tear down Vala. Blaze gets obliterated likewise. It's a 5 versus 3. A 5 versus 2 now with an open core, with 6 catapult equivalent minions, 2 siege giants and 4 catapults. This is insane. Note what CPX is doing though, June 2. They are using their own bodies to distract the catapults, but that is not going to be enough.
CPX launches an arrow. Kira is going to try and just take down this Hanzo and will be able to do it, padding some of their own stats, as that is Cure with that final kill of the game assumed. Shockwave from Liam onto, oh no! June goes down, Lobber steps out. Lobber, I don't think you're going to make it out of this one alive. He does pop the avatar, goes down, the core will fall, and the members of 30k will take map number 3 in, I would say, a pretty strong way. I don't think it was one of those things where it was like, oh yeah, they dominated. It is 1-11 in kills, but there were a few shining moments for Storm Esports that I'm sure Justin can break down here in just a second. But of course, Grubby, any takeaways from just the end of that game? Because it was seemingly just a snap of a finger and it's over.
It was very well played by 30k. Some lovely shots from a distance from Madara. We also have Sylvanas winning the 3rd map in a row in this series. I'm curious what Justin thinks about the whole game, and also who was the MVP here for 30k in this map.
I think that Madara was the MVP in this game. Madara on the Chromie really popped off this game. Cattle also played very well on Johanna, but that's somewhat to be expected. Johanna's not the most difficult hero to get value on, especially not since the buffs. And Madara really making Chromie look quite powerful. We have seen a little bit of Chromie recently, and Madara's has looked by far the best in my opinion. We even heard in the comms him talking about not killing the sidewalls. His team's trying to break those sidewalls, and he's reminding his team, don't do that. I've got Slowing Sands so that you can just trap the enemy and leave them with a choke in their own base that they can't leave. It's kind of a funny thing that when you're playing against a Chromie with Slowing Sands, you aren't able to kill your own small walls, your side walls, even though you would really like to. So as long as your teammates don't kill them, it's really hard to fight back against a slow siege with a Chromie having that slow sands. And so hearing Madara say that was nice. The 30k comms still a little bit hectic. They're still far from perfect. We could tell both in the comms and in the play. There was that one time where Liam on Hogger was trying to tag the boss, and there was a bit of miscommunication or mistiming there between the turn-in, where he threw out his satchel and didn't actually quite tag the boss. And there we see Madara just sniping CPX on the Hanzo just by himself with the W. And again, just the damage from Madara in particular, and Cure on the Sylvanas looked surprisingly good. Cure traditionally is a lot better, in my opinion, on the melee heroes. And so to see him play Sylvanas versus the Tracer, I think the Sylvanas looked much better for him. Mainly because he had the CC on the mind control. He has a lot more impact when he has that type of engage. It's like we saw him playing the Varian before when he had to sub for the tank position, and he was popping off because he's good when he has that control, when he's able to make plays. And so having him have the mind control was definitely really big for 30k. I would like to give some criticism to Lauber in this game. He kind of played the same as he's played in the last two games. But in this game, the resources really needed to go into his Vala and his Hanzo if they're going to be able to stay alive. That's something that I'm noticing now, just in this series alone, that Lauber seems to have one mode, at least so far in the series, and that's Go. And here it really backfires on them. He goes a little bit too far when there's no cooldowns available, no avatar for himself, no ancestral, and that's kind of the downfall of his team. This team's a little bit too close, trying to be, you know, close enough to save him, and they're punished for that, with Cattle immediately going for that falling sword onto the backline. And that was really what sealed the deal, was just one little overextension by Lauber, with the rest of the team being a little bit too close and losing their frontliner. It's hopefully, if they, for Storm to win, I'd like to see them either just play drafts like they played on Cursed Hollow, where it's just super aggressive, where they can all just go super hard, go as hard as they can. They've got CPX, who loves to play aggressive like that. They've got players like Lauber, who seems to only have one mode, which is playing that hyper-aggressive style. So I'd like to see them draft around that, because the last game, it was kind of like running into a brick wall against the sort of juggernaut walking death ball of 30k.
It also just seemed really, really hard to step into 30k in a sense. Like, yes, there was that kind of blunder moment when we were in the 30k comms where it was, you know, there was, I need a pull because I don't have E, and then Liam is way too far down on the left-hand side as Springy's coming in to give some analysis as well. And like, there was that one moment where Blaze was in the back line and he was trying to make something happen, but Storm is just so far already backing up. It just didn't seem... It kind of seemed exactly as you put it. I think, Justin, you put it perfectly. It seems like they were running into a brick wall, and they were making no headway whatsoever through Tomb of the Spider Queen, regardless of turn-ins, regardless of any sort of slight kills they could get. There was only the one kill on Liam, and it didn't seem like it yielded much beyond just that Webweaver turn-in phase. But of course, as we're getting ready for the map number 2, I want to get Grubby's thoughts as well, if you have any sort of takeaways or just anything you want to discuss from Tomb of the Spider Queen we just saw.
Yeah, I always like Chromie and Johanna together. It was well called that Johanna was still available in the draft by Justin there, and it really led to this defensive draft where Sylvanas is the initiator as much as Johanna, which is definitely interesting. It's where the roles kind of blurred roles in 30k's draft there, and it's this really defensive setup with Falling Sword, with Slowing Sands, and just using mind control for fishing. That wouldn't work on every map. For example, it wouldn't maybe work very well on Sky Temple. It's not very good at coming back from behind, but it's very good at protecting a lead and protecting a beacon point, like on this map, like the Webweaver point. Because they were leading, 30k could keep that up. It is very hard to engage into Anduin, who will save you from the first burst. And then Johanna, and then the Chromie with the Slowing Sands. It may have looked different if somehow Storm took a lead. Then suddenly that draft needs to make something happen. They need to do like a flashy engage from an unexpected angle. Then suddenly Falling Sword kind of sucks. But here it worked out perfectly. They needed the lead. They had it. They finished it out. Nice game.
It was a very nice game, and we're ready to go into map number 4. Excuse me, we're ready to find out where we're going to for map number 4, and we've got that all ready for you at home. Is that it's going to be 30K taking us to Towers of Doom, as Storm Esports, the losing side, has opted in for first pick priority on this map. Justing, a great map, a potential final map in this first best of 5 of the day. Do you think 30K can close it out, or do you think Storm's got some sort of secret tactic for a map like this?
I think that 30K should be able to take it. In Game 1 and Game 3 now, they've been extremely dominant in their wins. The last game was a little bit closer than the first one, but both of them were sub-level 20 wins, which we don't see too often. So although the Cursed Hollow game was won by Storm, I think a lot of that came down to kind of a draft dynamic. I think Cure on the Tracer didn't really get much value and wasn't really allowed to. And I think that if Storm drafts a hyper-aggressive comp like that, they might be able to catch 30K off guard. But as long as 30K is comfortable, I'm expecting them to be able to take this next map on Towers of Doom.
Well, we're gearing up for Towers of Doom, and it could see another Stitches from Cattle here. Could be a forced ban, but we're going to have to find out once we actually get into the draft. I'm excited about this one. Love Towers of Doom. It's one of those maps where Grubby's actually going to be starting a therapy session for Heroes of Storm players out there. I think you're going to start hosting that on your own channel, Grubby, where you pull in Heroes of Storm players. They tell you about their experience on Towers of Doom. Oh, yeah, we were 25-1, but then we went for a boss play, and from then on, we couldn't get a single altar. We lost everything, and we lost to the enemy team with 1 HP. Not reliving anything that I've ever gone through.
Oh, no, I'm sure. Yeah. Or like the game is going so well, and then your friends pulled you over the line, a line that you promised never to cross.
Yeah. Oh, good old Towers of Doom.
Hurt so much, you get cannonaded by cannons over that tower line. Yeah. Towers of Doom, the comeback map. If only IGN reviewer had played for long enough,
right,
to try out Towers of Doom, we would have had a 7.5 rating for sure.
That's very generous of you. I thought you were going to say a 7 rating. We get 0.5 more.
6.6.
6.6. Wow. But of course, let's reel things into Towers of Doom here. Justing, any thoughts or kind of anticipation for a draft from either of these teams for a map like Towers?
So off the bat, we see the Chromie band away. Respect for Madara here. Don't see a ton of Chromie bands so far. The Maiev is still available, which is something that we've seen CPX play quite well in their win. So maybe looking to ban away any of the tools that Storm used in their win on Game 2 if you're 30K would be smart to either pick it or ban it away. I'm expecting the Sylvanas to be priority once again, with both Maka and Cure having good performances on it, and Sylvanas having the 100% win rate so far. So
yeah,
just on paper, the stats don't lie. Sylvanas should be some kind of a priority here, and Liam on the Hogger has been really scary. Even in their loss on Cursed Hollow, he looked like the best, like the standout, the sort of the beacon of hope for the team in that game, even though they did lose. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some Hogger priority, but mostly the Sylvanas is what I'd be expecting with the way the series has progressed.
Yeah, it's just Liam sneaking up to the tower to light the Fire of Gondor. But that is a first pick Sylvanas from the side of Storm Esports. I think we just go to map number 5, right, Grubby?
Yeah, Moko Chocolata Power coming in here with his Sylvanas. This is not the map where you can get structures down forever, as on Towers of Doom. If you take down the enemy fort, it becomes your fort momentarily, and this can keep happening. Kind of like the Bunker Wars, like the Zone Wars custom maps from StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3 back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
Take a point, becomes yours, then yeah, it's a cool capture the fort kind of map. But still, controlling the bottom fort of the enemy means you've got 4 out of the 6 forts, and that means that you'll be shooting 5 cannonballs per objective against your opponent's 3, and you have sapper control into the enemy finish line with a bit of American football style. That's still very strong, so there's plenty of reason for them to take Sylvanas, and he has proven himself to be a great team fighter with it, Mocha.
I really, really enjoy what Storm has put together. Dahaka, really great in the rotations between lanes. Svamgradas had some standout moments on the Dahaka already throughout today. June's Rhaegar, I think June has only played Rhaegar so far today for Storm, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a respect onto CPX's Maiev here, Justin. That was really, really good Maiev on Cursed Hollow. Like, CPX really made it look extremely viable compared to yesterday.
Yeah, easily the strongest Maiev that we've seen in the past 2 days now, and so far Storm does have 3/5 of the same exact comp they had on Cursed Hollow. They had the Sylvanas, they had the Dahaka, and they had the Rhaegar. So the Diablo and the Maiev were the last two pieces. 30k is saying that the Maiev is the most important part. They have the option to pick the Diablo now if they want, and with that Stitches ban from Storm, they might feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. That might be a little bit more likely now, as they would have probably preferred that Stitches if it was available. I would be surprised to not see the Diablo denied here, to just sort of not give Storm any chance to pick it, but okay. So instead they're saying, you're probably picking Diablo, we think you're predictable, we'll take the Garrosh and we'll be ready for it. Also, from Granite's series the other day, it does feel like the teams that have been losing really love Rhaegar. I'm not sure what the Rhaegar win rate is right now, but I would be surprised if it's super high with how much he's being prioritized, specifically by the teams that have lost. So not to say that Storm has lost yet, but they're down in the series right now, and they've had quite the affinity for the Rhaegar, whereas I think the Anduin is a lot more useful in a lot of cases right now.
I'd have to check on that stat for you when we maybe go to a break later. But this Murd and Lunara really like this here, Grubby. And of course, any thoughts from you before we start wrapping up this draft?
Yeah, I think there were two options for Lauber that were most obvious here into Garrosh. Garrosh counters Diablo quite a bit because he interrupts his combo really easily and then compromises the position for Murden for Diablo, and Tychus was still available. Murden and Tyrael were both good picks. I think Murden generally is easier and is a bit more versatile, a bit more reliable. But Tyrael has a really good matchup into Garrosh, and what could still be taken is Tychus. It would have been cool, but then Engage becomes a lot more difficult with the Tyrael. You're not going to go Judgment at this level generally, and there will be way too many interrupts on Sanctification as well. So I get the Murden.
Murden I like a lot, but of course we're loading on in. I've got to get Justin's thoughts here on what the draft or what the game could be.
So it's a fairly similar to their Cursed Hollow draft for Storm, but they do have the Murden now instead of the Diablo, and they do have the Lunara instead of the Maiev. So a lot less lockdown than they had previously, a lot less burst and just aggression. I'm sure Lauber is still going to be playing aggressively, but playing aggressively into the Garrosh on the side of 30k played by Cattle. You have CC from Anduin, from Blaze, from even Tychus grenades that can randomly interrupt your jump on Murden. I think it's going to be really difficult for Storm to really make the same kind of plays they made in Game 2. I'm expecting 30k to take this with their really defensive, just kind of shred down the front line style composition.
Well, thank you as always, Justin, for all of your deep thoughts and analysis. As over here on the left-hand side, backed by the Raven Lord, we've got Storm Esports looking to take us to a map number 5. Swamp Grotto on the Dahaka Maka on the Sylvanas, Lauber playing Murden, CPX on Lunara, and June on the Rhaegar. Over on the right, backed by the Gravekeeper, we've got 30k looking to close things out in a 3-1. Liam on the Blaze, Kier on the Hanzo, Cattle on the Garrosh, Anduin played by Legacy, and Madara will be on the Tychus. I'm looking at 30k. I know Justin said that he thinks the series can go the distance. I'd love for it to go the distance, but realistically, Grubby, I feel like 30k, they've got a really great draft here. I think they can take this Towers of Doom map. What do you think of all of this, as there is a bit of a back and forth in mid, but the expectation is just some pokes and wave clear?
Did we stop believing in Sylvanas at this point?
You know, yes.
I think both have a really good draft going here. We've got the Sylvanas on the left side with the global power of Dahaka, who can make 5v4s happen. On the other side, there's such a reliable kill power between Garrosh, Anduin, and Tychus that I really think it's anyone's game here. Two fantastic drafts on a map that basically doesn't tolerate any kind of inattention. The game can flip at literally any time, because the objective doesn't give map control and XP. That's the big difference here. That's why it's such a comeback map.
Ooh, Cattle, I thought he was dead to rights right there. Liam looking for a way to get into this engagement. The Wisp from Lunara with the Sentinel value at level 1 is going to be able to scout out Liam in the rotation. The camp will be stolen away. There's a Chastise to go out. CPX low in the backline. Madara trying to make something happen here. And there's some grenades. Cure and Madara will clear out the Sapper that did rotate into lane. Liam's pulled the other two, as this was a really good invade from the side of Storm Esports. And I'm looking at Cattle's level 1, and this is pretty common, but with the Ancestral healing from June, I was thinking maybe we could potentially see body check because that does have a healing reduction factor. I believe it's a 30% healing reduction, a 35% movement speed, which I feel it could be really cool. And then at level 20, you can get the upgrade where you can get, I think it's a secondary charge of the body check.
And 45% healing debuff, which also increases. It's pretty cool.
I've seen that build with, like, when Justin and I have played together, he's gone for the helicopter garage, where literally he's as, to quote Justin, he goes, I'm chopping wood, because he literally just runs in the enemy team and starts just spinning with his axe. But there's a toss onto Lauber, who's going to take a lot of tower shots, doesn't go down. There was a scatter attempted from Cure, not connecting.
Yeah, I'm just going to check. Scatter does 103 damage. It ricochets into 4. That would have been 412 damage, but Murden had 460 HP. So even if he hit the perfect scatter, as he's not stacked yet, he would have not been dead.
I thought he would have had that, but thank you,
I
Grubby,
thought
as
so
always,
too,
for
but-
the math. Thank God we have Grubby for the math. He's got that big brain. He's able to do these quick calculations for all of you at home. As there's some oil over the wall, Liam looking for the jet propulsion, but there is going to be a stun, I believe, from Lauber as our first objectives here. Solo laners trade out, and that's a great toss onto Lauber. He was trying to anchor. He was trying to be that main tank, but Cattle said, no, no, no. I can just walk into your face and take you down, and that will be first blood to the side of 30k.
Now, Garrosh always plays a really strong level 1, as does Tychus, where many ranged assassins need to scale into their percentage-based true damage later on in the game at level 13-16, as CPX gets prepared in a nice little veil platter. The problem, venison platter actually. The problem for Garrosh generally is, Tychus gets his percentage damage at level 1. Many other ranged assassins get it at level 13-16.
Yeah.
And Garrosh is really strong early game, where people generally play a little bit more inattentive, a little bit more cavalier with their positioning. But the late game drops off because he lacks movement speed. So taking a look here at how Garrosh can get the catch on Lunara once she gets self-cleansed from Leaping Strike, Sylvanas, who gets Will of the Forsaken, single E, double E, which all is self-cleansed as well. And then you've got all those tools, and they get faster, more threatening. How does Garrosh remain relevant? You can always try to play out of vision and surprise people in unexpected places. There's also Inner Fire from Anduin that maybe could be used, which gives 50 armor, which stacks with Garrosh's armor trait, by the way. It is a level 20 talent. It also gives a lot of extra movement speed. That could be a nice Garrosh level 20 monster combo that Legacy and Kato could run. We'll wait and see if that's going to happen.
A good leap from Legacy onto Cure, as there is the Feeding Frenzy from Dahaka, who did brush stock down into this bottom lane engagement. 5v4 as Liam's continues to soak. We've got a single altar popping up in the center of the map. And Grubby, do you want to jump into comms now, or do you want to wait a little bit later when we have 10s?
I think it's a nice time. Let's take a listen, a little bit of a gander into the comms of Storm.
In we go.
Stick the garage when he walks up. Keep him perma-dismounted.
Blaze is clearing mid.
Okay, oh wait, please.
Look at Blaze.
Please no
Yeah.
stun, right?
Look at Blaze.
Yeah, he has stun.
Oh, okay.
Can we look on garage here? I kinda wanna go on.
Rang. Blowing.
I have no jump now.
Care for the blaze
Blaze
above.
is top
Yeah, I'm
side.
just beating them, beating them.
I can
Yeah.
take him. No.
Taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, Blaze top side. Play left.
Catching
Okay, they're gonna
the wave.
Just don't do anything.
Dismounting.
Just hit the garage, hit the garage, hit the garage.
Okay, Tychus
Okay,
no
minigun down,
minigun.
minigun down.
I can lick. Okay.
Where? Okay, I'm looking.
Oh,
No,
my
stun.
God,
No, no.
stun,
Yeah,
stun,
Blaze,
stun.
Blaze, Blaze. Hit front here, hit front. Hit garage, them nothing.
Can I just cap
Hanzo?
them, Marcus?
Yeah, cap, cap and get out, You'll be fine.
Block
I'm
scatter.
gonna hit 10, so.
We
I
got
just
it.
keep
Nice.
hit drop, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
should be
yes.
chunked.
They should be perma-champ, yeah.
I really like how they slow played that entire phase right there. It didn't seem like Storm had to jump in and make some crazy initiation. It was just kind of the slow zone back, and there was that pressure onto Cattle that was applied and forced the Leap of Faith and Indomitable. Really good from Storm Esports there.
Yeah. Clear instructions
Yep.
from Lauber to hit the front. That's what created space. Once Garrosh backs off, everyone else is more at risk. Basically the best fight and moment that Storm has had this game. I'm glad we got to experience it live.
It is, yeah. It's very cool, calm, and collective And maybe that's just the seriousness of this point in the matchup also for Storm. Maybe they're saying, okay, you know, we've been ramped up and hyped up, and we're really trying for all these games, but maybe we just need to slow down a little bit. Maybe we don't need to aggress into any sort of opportunity. We play a little bit more chess. We wait for the opportune moment, and that could be here in bottom lane, but no. Cattle has the toss away, disengage. And as we take a look at the 10 talent tiers from both sides, Grubby, nothing really out of the ordinary, nothing special to talk about, no decimate, no mind control or adaptation, or we do have Thornwood Vine, but I feel like that's smart because it's just a good way to poke into something like that Garrosh who does want you to step into his face.
That's true, and of course, Leaping Strike is really telegraphed when you use it to engage and disengage. They know where you're going to end up, and it is going to get abused, right?
You could literally, I mean, Legacy is a fantastic healer, so I wouldn't be surprised if he could kind of predict the trajectory or get a guess where he could maybe throw a Chastise to lock down a Lunara. 3 Sappers going through top lane, solo Altar in bottom. We do have equal talents for now, 0-2 in kills, and I think we should see a contest over this. Cattle staying mounted, trying to stay out of Lauber's vision. Lauber missing the Stormbolt.
See, Lauber Stormbolt availability is at 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, 1. Let's see if he's going to try and use it immediately. June is gapping. Cattle steps forward. June interrupted his own channel, didn't need to. Was afraid of Cattle and is trying to remain outside of his zone of influence. This is Storm putting on cap pressure, while at the same time having Dahaka do a double soak. If they can buy enough time for 13, they pretty much have this on lockdown. The Cure is channeling, nobody able to interrupt, and where CPX wanted to step forward and cast a Thornwood Vine to penetrate deep and get the cancel on Cure, he was unable to do so because of suppressive oil slick fire by Liam. He doesn't want to move through that big oil. He would be too much at risk.
So we have CPX getting full health and mana back at the Hall of Storms. Swamp Grotto and Liam still continuing their back and forth in the double soak as Garrosh does finish out his 15th stack on the level 1 Warbreaker. So not only does he have the damage over time, but he also has a 2-second cooldown reduction on that Groundbreaker permanently, as there's a lot of damage onto Mater, who dashes away. Liam doesn't really even need to step up here, and Mater gets some heals out from Legacy, as another objective phase will be spawning fairly soon in the mid to bottom areas.
Playing it real safe here is 30k. Even having Blaze here.
Whoa!
Jet Propulsion was not well comboed with Light Bomb. Light Bomb a little bit too late, has a pretty big wind up. Merlin was away already, but this is playing so safe, keeping Blaze here. In comes Dahaka as well. Big Jet Propulsion there on Merlin, but Merlin's pretty tanky. June in a good position to Ancestral Healing. He's gonna choose CPX, who fell down to 160 life. Now Lauber doesn't have it. He's got to jump out. What a close battle. Liam, hot pursuit. Pyromania turned on again for the armor coming in. Liam now exposed. Can there be a Liam going down? No, he gets saved by Caterpillar.
That was a great Groundbreaker as well from Cattle. Lauber was looking for the Dwarf Toss in. Lauber wanted to continue engaging onto the enemy because Lauber's got his level 13. I've watched a couple of his streams, and when he plays Murden, he goes, I hear him say all the time, he's like, we just gotta get to 13. We get to 13, I hard carry. And maybe I'm caster cursing Lauber
Jinx,
right
dude.
now. Youch, as that will be a kill right before the objective phase. Lauber dead for 30 seconds. There's the Indomitable popped by Cattle. Liam in the bush looking for the Jet Propulsion onto Dahaka. And it seems like that is an easily avoided Jet Propulsion. We do have double altar. 8 shots could potentially go into the core of Storm Esports. Madara with the Commandeer Odin trying to zone back. CPX having to Hearth, already burning through all of that mana. But look over here in the mid area. Swamp Grotto is the target. Cure goes over the wall. The tongue doesn't connect. They trade. They absolutely trade. What a great play between Cure and... Oh, no, wait, hold on. That's going to be more damage. June, he's out of here.
Bad trade. We won't be seeing that one in the top rankings of the CCL market game. No, sir. June 1 for 0. Not good. But Swamp Grotto, good job getting the Hanzo there as well. I'm not sure if we caught it on camera, but Swamp Grotto also had a cool thing where his Brush Stoker pushback level 4 talent interrupted a Blaze Jet Propulsion that was meant to take him down right when he emerged from the ground. So that knockback canceled Jet Propulsion.
That level 4 for Dahaka, we sang the praise of it yesterday, but Lurker Strain does so much. So, for anyone that doesn't know, Lurker... Oh, wait, hold on. We have a Brush Stock in here. Maka taking a bit of damage, has to get the Haunting Wave out. Good steal from Liam, but
Nice.
Lurker, wait, I keep going to read the talent for you all and let you know what it does, but I guess you don't need to know because that will be another kill to the side of 30k who are going to move to boss. This will be taking the enemy core down to 16 HP. But all it does, just really quickly, it stealths Dahaka for 3 seconds, knocks nearby enemies back, deals 225 damage, slows the enemy for 3 seconds, and you also have a passive, as if, you know, you didn't need a 5th or 6th thing on this talent. You also have the passive, which reduces your burrow cooldown by 3 seconds, meaning that your E, your burrow, is on a 17-second cooldown.
Instead of 20. Very nice, very nice. Overloaded ability, to be sure. Very good.
I feel like that one ability is like a whole hero's kit, like 1 through 20.
It's like someone is adding extra additions to a contract. You're starting a new job somewhere. They're like, what about dental plan as well? You're like, I already accept it, but sure.
Sure, I'll take double dental
Sounds
plan.
good.
Why not? I guess I'll go 4 times a year. 16 up talent tier-wise for both sides. Blaze actually going to try and delay out the Dahak on the top left of our minimap, but right now the big scuffle, the big engagement is around this bottom altar between the core 4 of these teams. CPX getting low, gets the chain heals out from June, does have the Earth Living enchantment, which gives a little extra healing when heroes or allies are a little bit lower. Big arrow from Cure. Where's the follow-up? June does not survive. Ancestor Healing will be on a 10-second cooldown. He's dead for the next 39 seconds. And Dahaka, if we can take a peek at this, Dahaka's still getting pressure applied. Actually, CPX. Oh no! Oh, okay, well, there's that. Yeah, there's going to be that, and this is going to be Lauber going down in the mid area as well. Dahaka still going for the channel. Liam trying to delay another flame stream, but here comes Maka. Liam, I don't. Ooh, wait. There's collision. Is that? Yeah. He's got collision course, which is like another. Currently 557 damage on the. I think it's like Jet Propulsion currently deals like 60 something damage baseline, 105. So you're dealing like nearly 650 damage with 1 Jet Propulsion into Sylvanas' face. A little terrifying. Little terrifying.
Meanwhile, Liam had kept Swamp Grotta busy all this time as that Chaos was going down, so that secures the triple altar actually for 30k. And it's a bit risky, right? Because if 30k loses the 4-man battle in the bottom lane, the decision by Liam to delay Dahaka will come back and bite him, because that means he didn't capture top right yet. Now they're losing top left and top right. But because 30k pulled through Liam's teammates, therefore his play retroactively made sense, which created in the ultimate greed getting 12 out of 12 shots of the cannons. It could have turned out the exact opposite. Liam went double or nothing, and he got paid off.
Look at the brush stroke from Dahaka on the right-hand side of our screen. Lauber's coming in for the flank. Isolation will connect onto 1. There's a Wailing Air from Sylvanas, but there's going to be a Light Bomb as well from Andu, and Ancestor Healing will connect onto Lauber just in time, but that's a nice leap of faith from Legacy onto Cattle. There's a drag. There's another leap because of the level 16 from Legacy. That's 2 charges utilized. Maka low. Cure looking for the damage. Liam looking for the angle to come in. Sidestep by CPX, but he had to double back into the enemy, and that will be Cure finding the kill. That is a next objective phase as well. Going to be in the top right and left. Single altar is necessary, and for anyone wondering, boss is up in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Haven't had the announcement for the objective, but I'm sure it's not far off from being heard.
Very, very nice try by Storm, to be honest, even though it didn't work out. Lauber was taking about 10 tower shots in a row, which debuffs your armor to -20 and does a lot of damage. Probably took about 2,000 damage from Fort or so. At the end of the day, he's going to have to be the one that tanks the tower. This was one of those moments where you take a fight that has a 25% chance of working, and it's worth it because you're 10%, 5% underdog of the map in the macro.
Oh no.
So I like what Storm did. It didn't work out. Great defense by 30k. This is looking like the final orchestrations, the final death animation here for Storm. Great defense by 30k to get a kill there. June takes a lot of damage from afar. Good shots from Cure.
That was a really, really good pick onto Lauber right there. Beautifully played by Cattle. He's just dominant on this Garrosh. There's a huge Wailing Arrow, and oh my god! That is not... Wait, hold on. Liam goes back in with the Jet Propulsion. June around a couple hundred HP. Anduin will fall. Maka, they're turning this around. Oh no, Grubby, I think you're going to be hosting a 30k therapy session for Towers of Doom.
Oh, man,
That is not what you expect.
It could just happen. It all started with that cure on the flank there. He was doing so much against June. But then CPX, I saw off camera that he got the kill on the cure. Let's take a look at it again.
Please.
That was just pure chaos. Let's let the therapy begin and go back into the past. Okay, it started with the Merlin deletion. He gets deleted instantly, but much was used. 30k is now fighting into June. You see there on the bottom of the screen, June takes a lot of damage. Many resources used on it. Now we start to look back at the top again, and note how Cure is left alone, and he's happily trading with his two assassin adversaries. He falls to the combined crossfire of Sylvanas and Lunara, CPX and Mocha. Then, suddenly, with Cure dead, massive poison spread damage coming in from CPX. June straddling the line of insanity with Ancestral Healing on a 6-second cooldown. Goes back in, desperate to save his allies. And Mocha just doing a great job there. A lot of damage from afar into Garrosh. Staying alive. And now, is this going to be the big comeback?
It could be. Dahaka's going to clear out top, mid lane low. They're not going to turn it around as the enemy is still advancing into Storm's face. And for anyone wondering why the Garrosh is dead, as we did get into that replay, there was a little bit of a gank on him in the mid lane, but it really, you didn't miss much. Lauber dove in, he got the kill, no big deal, as this is going to continue to be Swamp Grotto pushing up the top lane. Top lane Bell Tower not converted just yet, as the boss was already channeled by the side of Storm Esports. It's on a 4-minute and 12-second cooldown, but here comes a single altar through the bottom. Could be game winning for the side of 30k, as there are some sappers in the bottom right now. Fun fact, Garrosh can throw the sappers away, so he can actually throw them further away. Right now, it seems like the members of 30k will just tank 6 shots.
He's like, yeah, he just calculated how long it was going to take him to do that. Mm-hmm. It's just too long. So he's like, that's fine.
6 for 3, but it puts the enemy on 1 HP.
Yeah.
You know, they're still playing chess on the side of 30k. I still think this is an okay call. I don't know. What do you think about
Let's not forget that Garrosh Caterpillar didn't need to come top left when we look at everything else that happened. So, if ever we get to a 1 versus 1 situation or 1 versus 0, we'll know it's Cattle's fault.
Wow. But it's true. This is also a single altar coming up. Mid lane will go down to the minion wave. Kier can't make this rotation fast enough, I don't think. Yeah, he's got explosive arrows, but it's not going to be the case. Now, there's one bell tower. Actually, this top left one is still sitting around 50% HP. One bell tower is all the side of 30k needs. As long as they have one, they can get a cap and take the game. Oh, this is looking a little concerning here for 30k. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, Jet Propulsion stopped by Stormbolt. I'm nervous for 30k. I'm having 7th player anxiety for their team.
Yeah, this is this turned on its head. And
yeah.
If the overkill on the core is 1 or 0, then 30k should have held those 2 sappers there, bottom right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Cattle did not know where everyone was as well. He knew that his team was pushing in 3 sappers top left, but there was also the chance that Storm would try to farm Garrosh on the tower line.
Yeah.
So there were more things at play. Let's not have it come down entirely to that. And with the altar coming up at 5 seconds, now you see why bottom fort is so important, because it leaves this corridor right here to assault this position in, and nobody wants to do that. Based on experience, competitive experience, is that running through this corridor right here for the red team, that's a very difficult position to attack from, because it's an ambush. It's a perfect ambush play. So they give up another 5 shots here. 30k is now working with 11 against 1 cannonball point. Still totally fine. Giga fine, right?
I don't know about that one. Liam does pop the bunker. We've got a sapper camp in bottom lane that could potentially be going through and getting 3 more damage into the 30k core. Not sure if they can actually get into that bottom lane fast enough, as I'm just taking a peek. Yeah, that sapper should... Oh, it's actually just approached... Oh, no, it went over the line. Sorry, I was misreading the map. So that does go over. That's a 1 to 8. We were, what was it, 1 to 20 something, and just a couple minutes ago. So far, I have to say this, regardless of how this game goes, regardless of if we go to a map 5, if 30k shuts it down, this so far has probably been one of my favorite maps thus far in HeroesCCL Season 4. I know we're still in Week 1, we haven't even seen all the teams play, but this has been my favorite map to cast so far. And it's Towers of Doom. Like, this is why I love Towers of Doom. For moments like this, for plays like this, and for just, well, what we should be seeing, as there will be a double altar phase mid and bottom. Dahaka is showing top. He gets one sapper fed in. To our left, they won't take down the fort. Maka putting pressure onto Cattle. 30 seconds, we will be seeing our objective phase spawn.
All right. 30k only needs one. Storm needs both. So they need to defend a very wide goal indeed. They cannot let any of them go through. Pressure is mounting. Cure is poking. Aims the Stormbolt. Kato goes in. Cleanse. Cleanse is used.
45
That's
seconds.
That's a big cooldown on June.
45 seconds for the Rhaegar right there. The Ancestor healing. Actually, all heroics are off cooldown. That's a Wailing Arrow. There's a Light Bomb. That's a lot of damage. An arrow as well from Cure, as Cure finds the double kill. Lauber sitting on 100 and something HP, and that'll be Madara sniping him with the Commandeer Odin. Swamp Grottas all alone, looking to make the Titanic defense for the team. He's got the zooms from the level 1, but it's not going to be quick enough. He may be NASCAR Dahaka, but he's going to be having a flat tire as he's dead for the next 60 seconds. Commandeer Odin gets the wave clear. Liam and Legacy get the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gravekeeper takes down the Raven Lord, and 30k have their first series victory in HeroesCCL Season 4, a 3-1 record. Fantastic play from the side of both teams. Realistically, that map, Grubby, I felt could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it proves it. Like, the turnaround fight at the top right altar was really cream of the crop. It was wonderful.
That's going in the highlight. That's going in the highlight reel.
I agree with you. Best map so far this season. Just insane. Big props to Storm for nearly taking this one back and getting us to the rubber match. But it's 30k that will stand triumphant, much deservedly so. See the damage stats here. Tychus getting a lot of kills. Garrosh getting a lot of last hits and kills. Impressive. And I'm impressed at the one death stat for Kato as well. That last moment there, that combo was wonderful. The Titanic Might wrecking combo, mortal combo that he did there with the light bomb from Anduin. And what can I say about Cure? Great player.
Yeah.
Great on range there. And some awesome shots.
I'm sure, Justin, you've analyzed a lot of this, and I'm sure you've been enjoying yourself. You might have been on the edge of your seat the entire game, much like us, but you have to break everything down for everyone at home because there is a lot to talk about from that Towers of Doom map.
Yeah, that was a wild game. It really looked like it was going to be just all 30k for the whole game, basically, from the beginning. We got to a point where I thought that the game was basically over. We had the moment where there was... The moment that really started to be what appeared to be the downfall for Storm was when there was the pick on mid, where there was that CPX trade between Cure and then June and Swamp Grotto go down on the other side, and it's the 1-for-2. That sort of started snowballing everything. They got the top camp, they got the pick on top again on the Sylvanas, and they ended up getting boss for 30k. And at this point after that, they ended up being 4-32 in shots. For anyone who doesn't remember how we got to the end where it was 1-8 and that one team fight was going to end the game, it was 4-32 right here. This was the last moment. I thought the game was done right here. We get the pick onto Muradin. Lauber goes down. This is where I kind of thought, oh, the game's done. Like, I'm wrapping up my notes. Like, this is... I'm sitting up, like, getting ready to, talk about it. And then all of a sudden, this is the replay here in the top. We see Swamp Grotto goes in. They're gonna... That's not gonna be too important. Here comes CPX. He's ready. 30k is like, wow, this is easy. Let's just throw CPX in. But should they have done that? Because Maka comes in and CPX turns right around and... The damage they put out is just nuts. CPX and Maka essentially just... June helped, but that was nearly a 2 versus 4 by them. It's crazy that throwing in CPX led to that. I really thought the game was just over. I'm sure 30k thought the game was over as well. And maybe they'll be a little bit more careful with it because there was really good decision making after that by Storm. This was the final fight. This was basically a 50-50 on who would win the game, but 30k played the fight very, very well. We had Cattle playing off of the Hanzo arrow from Cure, being able to get the 2-man with the level 20, double toss by Garrosh with the level 20 upgrade, throwing them into the light bomb, into the taunt, all set up by Cure on Hanzo. It's tough to call who my MVP for this game would be. I think Cure put on a good show with the Hanzo arrows. I really do like seeing Cure having a lot of agency on some of these ranged heroes, like the Sylvanas with the Mind Control, or like the Hanzo with the Dragon's Arrow. It really feels like he does a lot better when he's able to make those big plays and have that CC setup. And although Madara wasn't necessarily flashy, he did a ton of damage, and he was pretty much doing everything he needed to do. So, and on the other side, Maka and CPX tried their best, especially with that final play to keep him in the game. But in the end, 30k just slightly edged them out, just slightly the better team, and exciting to see what they're going to be able to do with the rest of the season.
Well, with 30k, actually, we've got Cure going to be jumping in for an interview with us, so we can actually pull him on into said interview. Cure, how are you feeling after that series up against Storm Esports?
Feeling pretty good. Definitely nice to get the first series a win. So, yeah, pretty happy.
Now, I know Grubby, actually, usually I throw it to Justin, but Grubby already has a burning question, so I'm going to throw it right to him.
I'm happy to see you play in the CCL again. You display great skill, and it's wonderful for people to watch you play. But for a moment, it looked like you were stepping back for a bit in the previous season. Here you are now. Are we going to be continuing to see you play in the main lineup in this season? And if this feels like a comeback for you, what prompted it?
Yeah, definitely planning on sticking through with it this season. After season 2, I felt like I just needed a break since we went pretty hard for the first 2 seasons and we won them both. So especially with Lutano and Hosty not returning, it felt like it was just time to step back a bit. But now with the LAN being announced, which I'm super excited for, and also being able to like form your own rosters this time, it made me really want to give it another run, and this time on DPS instead of solo lane.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, because we have been talking about... Oh, please, Grubby.
Was that an important change for you to keep things fresh, to go away from the solo lane and go into the backline range DPS?
Yeah, I really wanted to try some DPS this time, because, I mean, solo lane is fun and competitive, but not as fun in, like, solo queue, so even, like, the last couple of seasons, I was just only playing DPS in solo queue, so I figured might as well just try it in competitive as well.
Interesting.
Justin, any questions for Cure?
Yeah, first of all, congrats. What has been kind of the biggest difference going from playing your old role in the offlane to now trying to play the different role? I guess what's the main differences for you?
I think for me, a lot of it is like trying to hold myself back a bit more, because like solo lane is much more of a playmaking role, and on my previous teams, I've always been like kind of the one for like person forcing plays and like doing that sort of stuff, but a lot of times on DPS, the best play is just to relax and like wait for someone to make a play. So just getting used to that, and especially like playing with like Kato and Liam in the front line, it's like I don't really have to do as much, so definitely just getting used to that whole situation.
And we definitely heard, we jumped in your comms, and we heard a lot of conversing with just what you all want to do. I have one final question before I let you do some shoutouts. Next weekend you go up against Simplicity. This kind of for a lot of us, like we haven't seen Simplicity play. You might have scrimmed against them or anything like that. How do you feel going up against Simplicity next weekend on Saturday?
It'll definitely be interesting to see. Like the first season there was a semi-Korean roster, and now again we've got 4 Koreans on Simplicity. So I'm hoping that the ping and some of the language barrier with Porky doesn't hold them back too much. But I do expect that they'll probably be towards the bottom of the standings for now, until they can, get a bit more used to it.
Okay. Thank you for the insight. Really excited to see you all play next weekend. But of course, as always, before you skedaddle out of here and enjoy your victory with your friends, any shoutouts that you'd like to give?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to my team. Shout out to the Orc 30k. And shout out to all my viewers and all the Twitch chatters and everyone trying to keep the hot scene alive. Appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you so much, Kira, for joining us for the interview. Congratulations once again on your victory, and we look forward to seeing you next Saturday up against Simplicity. Good luck, and have fun in your scrims.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Alrighty, well, we got a little insight as to into Cure here for the season, because I think Justin, that was, and Grubby, that was the question that I was curious about as well, is what is this official role, because he's listed as flex, but it looks like he's going to be kind of that ranged assassin most of the season. He'll probably make flex into like a Zeratul from time to time. I can't imagine a world where we don't see a Zeratul from Cure at some point in season 4, but really good stuff. I want to get your thoughts, though, from both of you. This was a really fun series between Storm and 30k. I thought, actually, we were going to go to a Game 5 after what happened like at 16 minutes and 30 seconds in with that crazy Lunara fight. But, of course, Justin, any big takeaways from this first best of 5 of the day?
Just the Storm looks a lot better than I had expected them in my power rankings to look. And 30k, while they do look strong, there's definitely some growing pains going on there. Like there was a bit of times where there was some obvious miscommunications, just cooldowns sort of wasted when there was obviously just not perfect cohesion between the team, which is to be expected. It's week 1. But for a roster with this many sort of superstar players, it's you wouldn't expect too much of that. So I want to see kind of how they can scale up as the season progresses. But impressed with both the teams that played today.
I very much agree with you. Grubby, any takeaways or thoughts from the first best of 5 of the day?
Yeah, I expected 30k to do very well in the series, maybe even 3-0, but I think Storm played a lot better than I expected. I'm very happy to see how they performed today. Far from perfect, but a lot better than I expected. I think CPX did great. Mokka, I was not familiar with him as a player, but now I am, and he's very good. It was nice to see. I think we'll see good things from them coming this season. And, yeah. For the rest, deserved victory by 30k. Nice to see Cure on range too.
Yeah, I think after seeing yesterday's games and this one especially, Oxygen, Storm, and 30k are the 3 teams that I'm really, really excited to see throughout the season. Chili Mountain, I think they've got some growing to do here after what we saw against Oxygen, but also Oxygen is a very, very strong team in their own right. So we are going to be getting ready for our next best of 5 of the day, the final best of 5 of week number 1. As you saw at the bottom of our screen, everything swapped on over. We got Simplicity going up against Wildheart, and just to kind of get us all excited and ramped up for this next game, we had, once again, our amazing friend Kyle Ferguson sit down with Porky from Simplicity to talk all things about their roster, their play, and maybe even some scrims. Thank you all so much for joining us for Heroes CCL Season 4. During this break, I also want you to do 2 commands. I want you to hit !NXT, and I'd like you to hit !prize pool. Go ahead and check out the Match Arena. If you'd like to donate towards the prize pool, it's always very much appreciated. We'll be back in just a little bit with that next best of 5. Enjoy the interview with Porky and Kyle Ferguson.